Okay. Anyone out there yet? Okay, let's see. Hopefully everyone can hear me okay. This is public, isn't it? Okay, folks out there, I'm gonna jump in here, sort of post Record Store Day 2024. I'm sure everyone has participated in some way. I always work on Record Store Day pretty much since it started in 2008. I think out of the 16 years, I think I didn't work two of them, and those are the years I was flipping some of them early on, maybe in like 2009, 2010. No, 2010, 11, and then since then I've been either working for the shop in Manhattan that's no longer, or up here in Ithaca and Angry Mom. Every year I work, except for the year I had COVID. I had COVID on one of the RSDs. Feel free to join me, anyone who wants. I'll put the link out there. Why not? Romuald, what's up? Yes, Montreal. So I keep thinking, I got to keep remembering you're in Montreal, not in France. How are you doing, Romeo? So yeah, I'm gonna show. I'm gonna just talk about some of the things that I brought home today. Just a couple things. I did have two actual RSD releases that I bought. Plus, I had a concept to I'll talk about it. So I had a concept to show original, records that are being reissued for records today and compare them to the reissues, but that would have meant me having to sort of make a deal with Angry Mom where I work, George, and sort of like bring those home. I mean, I'd have to buy them, and I didn't really want to do that. But I thought it'd be fun to compare them. But I never really decided to go for it. There was another time where I might, you know, where I might buy the reissues and keep the originals, of course. But there's just I don't have the time or the really money that I want to spend on that. So I'm happy with my original pressings, with the exception of one is not an actual original. I'll show those in a second. Um, but yeah, if anyone wants to join me, join away. So I guess I'll start with the actual. Hey, Paul. Yeah, it's an impromptu stream. I'll start with the actual two records I was actually interested in getting. I should dig out the other. Yeah, I'm gonna go dig out these other two. The other two records in this series. Find them. Find them. Yeah, I wanted to pull out these other two in this series, but this is the one. This was maybe the only thing. Well, it's one of the two records I really wanted, but this is the first thing I saw that I actually really wanted to get. And I did open this and play this at the shop today. I don't know if anyone else was interested in this, but this is Acid Archives approved. Basically, anything that's American or Canadian on here is on or in the Acid Archives. But you have this is the third in the series. I'll show the other two in a second. But you have the Mexican Kaleidoscope is on here. You have the African group Ogeees. Witch is on here too. The Zamrock group, a later Witch release, and the rest of it. Well, there is Group 1850, the Dutch group, but otherwise it's American. Yeah, the shrink's still on it. So this was great. It's all. I bet tomorrow you'll be able to find this for very little. I don't think anyone cares, or I mean, you should care, but I don't know. This isn't like the Doors or the Olivia Rodrigo here, but it's all very well curated. Everything on it is got a very similar down tempo, sort of downer vibe. Like I like that they really stuck true to sort of like um, an idea or sort of feeling or a vibe on this. So heavy psychedelic ballads and dirges is very much true to the title. Um, so it's cool that they threw in African groups with American private press stuff, and it all kind of works together. Um, and all these most of these are pretty rare. Like the Antrip Ceremony record is impossibly rare. There's maybe only 100 of that record. I think I think yeah, Fred Big Star 1000 talked about Christophe, right, Romuald? Je sais que c'est l'été. I know that it's summer. I think that is right, Romuald. So Frank in the Valley, what's up? Yeah, I think this will be around tomorrow, or maybe maybe it's around right now. You could probably find this. Like everything goes down in price, pretty much. I know you were hosting one today. So it's so hard to make. There's been so many great live streams. Yourself, Jose's been doing fantastic live streams. Of course, Stunty every week, and I watched a bunch of Rob the Wax last night. I just happened to be doing dishes, and I watched some of that anyway. But yeah, it's hard. It's hard to make. I wish I could. But anyway, this is one of two RSD records I did really want and did take home. Now I don't have to stand in line, which is nice. Working in the store, I can just we can hold what we want. Sean. And this is the other one I got. I am a definitely. I love this band, Acetone. I don't really buy much live records, but this band is so underdocumented. This is from May 31st, 98. And hey everybody, hey. I've shared the link if anyone wants to join me. But this band is a great band out of California. They get tagged with the slowcore thing, but they have the Americana, um, a little bit of country kind of thing happening. Yeah, one of the great 90s lost bands, I would agree. So I got this because, like I said, you're never going to hear anything else from them again. The singer died, and so the band is no more. But yeah, like this band is just so underdocumented, and there's no live recordings at all. So I decided to get that. Anyone else? Any highlights from people? These are the other two in that series. I know this is glaring. The other two in the series of the Pale Shades of Gray, and this goes back to like 2009 or 2008. And this is one of the first comps I got that really focused on, yeah, private press. You can see this thing has been reissued. You can probably find this these days. Now again, made this available. But the thing about this was, I think for a while it was listed as an unofficial record on Discogs, but I don't know why that would have been, but they were able to sort of get that removed. So a lot of these records have been reissued since. At the time, they weren't. This East of Underground record is fantastic. This one's Solid Oak is good, but it's not all consistent. But this comp, it really highlights like the best tracks from these records that you'd never see. And then this is what was out for Black Friday, 2021. Some of you may remember this. This one again stays in the ballads and dirges, or they're all ballads and dirges. I'm forgetting that, but this whole series is based on the downer vibe. So it was cool to get all three. There it is. Yes. Yeah. I think it's going to be available. I know New Zealand, I'm not sure of the availability, of course, but I bet you'll see it out there. The Cybotron. I don't know that one off the top of my head. Sounds good. Yeah, it is a great series. The only other thing I bought, this is not in any way RSD, but this is the one Pitch and Bajas I did not have. Well, that's not true. There's other ones I don't have, but I didn't have this one. This was a used, just a used copy of this on Drag City. This one is called. Every one they do is like, based off like an older record. I think it's, yeah, not on the sleeve at all, but you know, definitely a Don Cherry Moki Cherry kind of thing. So yeah, bitch and bot. That's what I brought home today. Of course, there's always other things around. Uh, yeah, it's. I mean, I haven't listened to it yet, but I'm such a fan of the band. I'm assuming it's gonna sound great. I hope so anyway. So I'm looking forward to that. Yo, Fred. Yeah, it's Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon for you, right? Hey, yeah. So yeah, the record store here, Angry Mom had those. We only had one of the Sun Ra. We had the other Sun Ra, a bunch more of those. Those kind of went quick. The Bowies went pretty quick. Um, the store did really well today, and it was a great day at the shop here. Um, a bunch of bands play. If you are interested, you could go to the Angry Mom Instagram, where you'll probably see me running sound. I was running sound. I was helping out sell records, of course. I was there. What we don't open till 10, so I was there about 9 a.m. this morning. And yeah, we moved the record store here. We Angry Mom. We try to get rid of everything. We try to move everything out as quickly as possible. So after our first big line is done, you know, people start calling. Friends want to like hold things. We're like, fine, that's fine. Just come on down. We'll hold it. And of course, people trickle in throughout the day. But once the big build of people, the big swell people is done, like we try to just get that stuff moving. We're not a store that keeps RSD items from like years back. It's all we our goal is to get it all gone by Monday. I do have now these I'm just showing these just cuz uh I know a lot of people were after these. Now I had some extra like because I have an account with Forced Exposure, they had some RSD titles, so I actually bought some of these at wholesale, and I did sell these. I'm not keeping them. They're not worth keeping. These are actually already sold already, so I don't know if anyone. I don't even know why I'm bothering showing them. I was gonna maybe hold some, but I can't, so I sold these already. But I hear they're great. I don't much need it or care. You know, for me, I'm really more excited, as I know a lot of people are, by the older things, the original pressings, with the idea that like yeah, if there's something like acetone that's like the first time it's ever been done, that to me is the whole point, you know, of record store. The way it was initially conceived, anyway, was making things available that would have never been available. It was exclusive to indie stores, and now it's exclusive is such a rigged word in many ways. So it's still a good day. It's still a good day for shops. I know I've seen a lot of stores are backing out. A lot of stores don't want to participate or just deciding they don't need to. Academy Records was a big one to decide that they're not going to be a part of it. I mean, I think that's going to be a trend that we're going to see more and more throughout the year, or you know, going forward. Um, yeah, I mean, for us here, we're the only shop in town, so there's other stores within an hour, but here in Ithaca, we're the only store in town, so it makes sense for us to do it. You know, we serve a lot of people that are looking for that stuff. It's a pretty good record buying town, so yeah, it makes sense for us to buy all that stuff. I'm gonna throw the link out again if anyone wants to pop on up. And yeah, the title of the stream, I'm gonna show RSD reissued these. Here are the Ogeees. So yeah, I was saying at the top, I was thinking about, you know, buying the reissues of these records to do a comparison and do a video on it, but it would have required me to actually purchase them. You know, I get a nice discount for these things, but I didn't want to put out the money to buy these reissues, even though I was tempted by a couple. But so I was going to do that, but now I'm just showing the ones that I have originals of anyway. Yeah, very good, nice one. I mean, that one, as you know, Sean, has become really in demand and hard to find in nice shape and in nice condition. So well done. 50% off used is amazing. that is amazing. I would have been taking advantage of that for sure. 50% off you. I mean, that's a great deal. I mean, that's yeah. I hope you found some cool stuff, Paul. So yeah, I'll show some of these. Let's get into it. I'm sure a lot of you may have, or some of you may have grabbed this today. I love this record. This one, um, it used to be. I mean, I'm not gonna. I'll try to talk about what it used to be because that's kind of silly at this point. But for a while, this was very cheap. But I think with David Roback dying, that certainly changed things, as well as just everything. Everything changed the prices of records. But anyway, the Rain Parade, Emergency Third Rail Power Trip. It's originally on Enigma. So I don't know if anyone got this or anyone knows what the new one sounded like, but this is the US pressing. And this one goes back to 83, and it's also one of the earliest when I was getting into records on eBay. I told the story before, but I started getting to records in the late 90s when I inherited a collection from my dad's cousin. And my dad was even like, hey, you should check out this new eBay thing. And he, I did. And I started selling things on on eBay in the early days. And I then started buying some things. I started getting into it. I was still in college at that time, 1997, 98. And I started buying stuff from eBay. Like I remember buying like my first copy of Piper at the Gates of Dawn for like $25. The Tower. I remember buying the first Descendants album for around the same price. And I remember buying this, probably for very little. Yeah, it's good. It's like it's known as the Paisley Underground thingy. I remember reading maybe it was one of those 90s alternative magazines. I don't know if it was Magnet, but I remember them doing a whole spread on the Paisley Underground, and I remember being very influenced by that article. It's, pre-internet, you read magazines more, I guess. And I remember finding out about that. This is the original Enigma press list. I didn't know this was in here. Little press kit. It's very thick, actually. This is a ton of press in here. So nice that this is in here. So yeah, I obviously wasn't gonna go all in buying a reissue. And this is good, and it's funny because I could have sworn my record was warped. And I guess it wasn't as warped as bad as I thought, because it's super slight, so. But, back in that day, I wouldn't have even noticed that. I just like, oh, great, I got this record. What else? Yeah, it's great. Yeah. Oh, Sean is getting hate, or is that, yeah, it might be Sean getting hate. So yeah, that's the Rain Parade. If you don't know it, I mean, I certainly suppose you could go find that reish, probably on some kind of colored situation. But yeah, I mean, Sean did a great video on David Roback and sort of the associated bands that became Mazzy Star and Opal and all that. We had the Roback brothers in this, and I don't know the other dudes, but yeah, Val Dreamscape, he did a little feature on that. So there's that. Another one I was tempted by, but I've talked about this one recently. It was a major record for me. Was the Harmonia. Now I was tempted by I'm a sucker for an alternate cover. I mean, who's not? I mean, maybe some of you aren't, but I was very curious because there was some extras which I heard from my buddy at the store they weren't necessarily worth it, and then there was like not remixes but other collaborators getting involved, and I thought about it, but much rather just spin this baby. Music Bond, 1974. Did anyone get this? Can anyone speak on it? The new one with the green variation, that is. I mean, I'm wondering if it's the beginning of like more, not necessarily just harmony, but more stuff on Brain that's going to come out. You know, Gronland has been doing the noise stuff. They did the box set, of course, but there's lots of other stuff on Brain, and maybe it would be cool to see. So I don't know. Just curious if anyone was able to get this or anyone wanted it and was curious and whatnot. Yeah, I guess it wasn't a huge pressing run of it, but we had a few and not a ton of demand for it. We ended up selling them, but it wasn't like one of the hot titles or anything like that. So yeah, what more can you say? What more can you say about such a classic record, I think? I know I had sold my box set, so I need to buy the second album again. Yeah. Of course, this one's gotten so much discussion. Gene Clark, another one. I don't know. Got this some years ago. Old radio copy. They liked No Other, the title track. I'm always intrigued by the back cover of this one. He's looking like he's ready for a glam night, Gene there. I will say I do love this record, but it's not my favorite Gene Clark record. I would go White Light or the with a Gosden. It's good. I do want to say I think it's a little bit overrated in a way, but that sounds negative for me. I absolutely enjoy it. Um, I absolutely enjoy it. Like I don't want to take away anything from it, but it's incredibly celebrated. We'll just say that. And I do think there are records that I like a little more. Like some of the John Cale records from this time occupy occupy a similar territory, but I think might even be better. But certainly, if you don't know, I mean, the John Cale records from this time, very much recommended if you like No Other. Something else in here. Oh, there's another. Oh, yeah, right. I forgot. Here he is. Here's the poster. Yeah, what a shot. So posters in this copy. Of course, on Asylum Records. This is not a promo. Yeah, Asylum Records. You know, Geffen, 1974. But I was curious about this one because it wasn't a reissue at all. Like they didn't just reissue the album. 4AD did reissue it a few years ago, and so they didn't just repackage this new bonus material with the same album. They left the proper album off, which is good because if you know that way the people who know the record well don't have to rebuy it. They can just buy the bonus stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's glammed out. He's glammed out. Check him out. Um. Oh, from John. So yeah, but no, just to finish up on this, I mean, I wasn't really considering it. I'm not really at the point where I really want to buy many demo or alternate tracks type releases. That's not really where I'm at. I'm more interested in just discovering newer things or going deeper on a certain artist that I'm interested in. Like I don't play those kinds of things enough. There's a few rarities that there's a few cases where I've done that. Like I have the Skip Spence 3 LP with all the alternate takes because those are just mind-boggling. Um, so John Cale, I'm talking really about like fear mainly. I love fear, so I'm not. I can pull it, but I don't have it out right now. Hey, Alan, Tice, what's up? And here's one for Sean. An old dollar bin find, and the only the only Amboy Deuce record I have. I've actually never gotten into any of the other ones, but this one I find um, to be good if you can stand all the Nuge soloing. But it's got the title track, so that song's it's worth it for that. Yeah, you can see it's not a nice copy, but this is still a cheap album, because they had a little bit of a hit with that. Yeah, yeah, my record's actually fine. I remember getting this in a dollar bin. mainstream label. We've talked about that one. Yeah, I don't know. What does anyone think? Does anyone care? Did anyone buy this? I was actually surprised they redid this one. I didn't think that was necessary because it's easy to find. But that doesn't necessarily matter anymore, does it? Doesn't matter if it's easy to find. Just repress that thing on a picture disc or splatter wax and you're golden. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't the first album even I didn't really get into. This is the only one that I did have the first one at some time, but I sold it. Um yeah. But yeah, it's a little too much blues riffage for me. But you know, it's not a hard album to find. Probably hard to find in decent shape though, I'd say. How am I sounding, by the way? If I'm too loud, let me know. Yes, they are. Oh, so you did. Nice, Paul. 50% off, I bet. The other one here's like I got a few more. Here's some of the bigger ones. Now I got this also many years ago. It was a very fair price because it's always a tough record. You never see this. You never see this. I've never seen this record in a shop. And if you probably did, it wouldn't be in very nice shape. But the record on this one is good. It's not just it's not a good grading. It's a VG plus. It's a VG looking record. Plays VG plus. The sleeve you'll see is not all that great, but I'm happy enough with this. I was very curious, especially because mine's not a perfect copy by any stretch. But there's some thought that maybe this is not really going to sound. Maybe it's a digital repress, digital mastering, unofficial. I mean, just because it's RSD doesn't mean it's going to definitely be official. But osmium, yeah, it's too bad I have some of that damage there, right where the osmium title is. But this was so reasonable, I had to check it. It's on the Invictus label. You know, there was talk like, you know, they're reissuing the Parliament or the Funkadelic records a lot and remastering those. Like the reason why they probably haven't been able to do this is because it's Invictus label. I'm sure, or I mean, I don't know, but maybe the rights for this one aren't. Maybe George Clinton or the Parliament Funkadelic camp doesn't have the rights to it. But as I look at this one again, yeah, this one's okay. So the condition's good enough. I mean, you can always do a little bit better, but I'm happy enough with this one. And I was shocked to see that Angry Mom. I thought this would be like a no-brainer, like a knockout. This one did not fly off the shelves. Did not. Again, I mean, sometimes it's weird what sells in our store and what doesn't, but anyway. Amboy Dukes, yeah. Yeah, I love that like this is supposed to be like they were trying to be a little less weird, a little more straightforward on this. And I mean, it kind of is. It's not as out there as Free Your Mind and Your Ass Will Follow or any of the Funkadelic of that era, but it's got its weirdness. It's definitely got its weirdness. Yeah, so this was a sweet one to get many years ago now, and it does the other. It's not in the best shape, but it does have a lyric insert too. You can see a little problematic right there. And I do love this album. I think if you like those early Funkadelics, you definitely should be all over this one. So yeah, I mean, certainly if I didn't have this, this would be one reissue I would go for. Because I do love this early George Clinton stuff. Parliament Osmium. I gotta be careful with this sleeve, even putting it back in plastic here. Yeah, it was a bunch of Detroit related stuff today, Sean. At least from what I remember. I'm not gonna mess with that right now. And here's the other one. This was reissued today. This is one that I put on the chopping block quite a bit. This is SRC, Scott Richards' Case. They've done, I think I ended up selling the later records, but this one always stays in the collection. And this is one I've also had for many years now. You know, a lot of times the records that are oldest in your collection are not in the best shape, so this one isn't. Although it's not too bad off. You know, we'd be hard pressed to get away with better than a VG on this one, but it is the original Capitol label, of course. I love the original Capitol label. Capitol label. The old rainbow. I gotta put this in a better sleeve. This is a great. I don't buy a ton of heavy Psych, but again, this one really does check out for me. You have the Quackenbush brothers on this. It's weird. It's Scott Richards' case, but Steve Lyman, Glenn Quackenbush, Gary Quackenbush, Scott Richardson, Robin Dale, E.G. Clausen. Yeah, Scott Richardson case, lead voice. I always think it's someone else in the band named Case, but that's what it is. Scott Richardson case. Head case of some kind. Oh yeah, I know. At Angry Mama didn't they had plenty of those. It is. It is. It is. So I was curious about the Jackpot. I know there's been a lot of folks liking the Jackpot reissue series. They've done good work with the meters. Apparently, I don't have any Jackpot reissues at this point, but um, there it is. And then the last one ties into this one. It's the only actual out of all these, the only true original I don't have, but it is an earlier pressing. And this is why I've been trying. I've been trying to get the original Gandalf. It's just skyrocketed, so I'm gonna probably not find that one. This is a top tier Psych record, though. Even though my listening habits have deviated a bit from psychedelia, this one is a top shelfer. This is Scorpio. Of course, Scorpio was in many ways a crucial label to be repressing a lot of these records, major label records at cheap prices. I mean, these were like $13 to $15 back in the day. This is a blue press. So I was thinking like, oh, maybe it'd be cool to upgrade to this new one. I bet it would smoke this Scorpio, but we'll save it for the Ridge. Quackenbush trivia here. Oh, no kidding. Well, they were a Detroit band, right? I'm saying that. I did say that. I believe that's true and true to the case. I'm guessing they dropped off stuff in Detroit somewhere. Anyway, yeah, they do this version of Golden Earring on here, the first track, which is pretty epic. And they do a Tim Harden song, couple Tim Harden songs, 3 of them, in fact. I don't remember it being so heavy on covers, but I believe the second side is mostly originals. Gandalf. The blue. I've tried to. There was at some point, I was trying to just get rid of this and sell it and put that money towards the Capitol. There was a Canadian copy that somebody had that was affordable, but the deal fell through for whatever reason, I don't remember. But I was trying to sell this and put the money towards that, but I still got it. Anyone get the Gandalf? So that's kind of oh no, wait, there's one other one I didn't trot out. Hold on. There's one other one that was reissued today that I have the original of that came up earlier and much easier to find, although I think it's sort of tough too now. You could probably guess. Another Detroit connection. Okay. Gandalf's my only pickup today. I grabbed it from Jack. Oh, nice. I imagine Jackpot had plenty of those. This I got. Oh, geez. Smash. It's okay. This I got in a Syracuse shop. Shit, I don't know. We moved up here 10 years ago. It was probably around that time I found this here. Minty, actually. The sleeve is not exactly minty, but it's pretty, pretty nice shape. You don't see this one that clean, but obviously it's a Strata East title that one of the easiest ones to find, even though these days that's not even so much the case anymore. The record is definitely minty. I guess Gil Scott's most one of his most heralded records. The bottles, of course, on this one. So another one that, yeah, didn't need this, but you know, nice to see it getting done. And I just love the praise for Gil Scott-Heron recently. He deserves it. I mean, he's passed away many years ago, but he definitely deserves it. Has anyone heard? Maybe you have the his final album. I'm New Here. By the way, yeah, this was like $15, which is what it used to be all day long. So I don't know what it's at right now. I love his final album. This is a hell of a record. Hell of a record. With production from Jamie XX, right? Or did he just do the remixes? He may have. Anyway, this is a hell of a record. Incredibly intense. Great final record. Oh, you did, yeah. I know, that's the thing. It's hard to find that one nice. This is in many ways like if you love Black Star, David Bowie's final record, you need to listen to this. This occupies the same territory of like intense, deep, personal. I wouldn't call it a beautiful record. I'd call it a sort of grimy, dirty record, like grimy, but in a wonderful way. Yeah, I think that's right. I think I'm just so used to seeing that remix LP that I just assumed he was behind this too. But yeah, Paul, you should. I'm sorry, Paul, but Sean, you should definitely take the time to check this out. I believe released, if not the year of his death, right around it. I used to work. Let's see, what year? Where am I at here? I don't know. It's maybe 2010, 2009. It's not in front of me, but in any case, Winter in America. I'm sorry. Well, I just showed Winter in America, but I'm New Here. Yeah, I have. I have heard the remix versions. I don't have it, but yeah, I don't know how easy this is to get. It's probably not hard to get. I highly encourage everyone to check this one out if you don't know it. I used to work with this woman who was not really in touch anymore, but back in my music industry days, she was married to his brother, and so I used to hear some stories about him, Gil Scott. They were, I mean, they were close, but he obviously had a hard life, drug addiction, and when he passed, I remember that being a big deal. So anyway, I just like that he's getting some appreciation. Weird that ERC, Electrical Recording Company, doing a highfalutin $500 version of this record, whatever the hell those cost. Anybody got that? Anyone have that out there? Yeah, great one. I'm New Here is brilliant. Yeah, this feels like one you would dig, Fred. Yeah, absolutely listen to it. Check it out. Let's pull out some more Gil Scott-Heron. And again, I can talk to myself for a long time. I do this on the radio for 2 hours at a time, but if anyone wants to join me. Um, so what else do I have? I don't have everything by any stretch. I don't have any of the Arista stuff, but I do have this one. This used to be cheap too. This is mostly spoken word, and technically his first, or it came out the same year as his first, which is of course this one. I talked about this one a lot last year. Sean, I guess you found a nice copy of this. This I got beautiful shape, but it is not the very first. It's the white label, or not white label promo, but just the white label repress, like the early repress. But you can't, I mean, it is beautiful shape, so I'm happy with this. Flying Dutchman bag. I talked about this. I got this last year. I was heavy looking for this last year for whatever reason. I don't know why I waited until everyone else wanted it, but yeah. And yes, I guess I do. And Free Will, I haven't shown or talked about this, I don't think. Great one. Another great cover. The Revolution will not be televised. People often get confused that it's an album. It's actually just a compilation. That track is on here. Actually haven't played this one in quite a while. I should redo it. But yeah, I mean, he's really merging jazz, funk, soul, and, you know, poetry. I'm just glad he's getting his due. Do we need record store day repressings of it? No, but maybe people will discover more Gil Scott. So what else can I show? What else do I got over here? Since Fred's on the stream, I had said I found the only US copy of this. It just came in the mail today. Morning, evening. This is Fortet. This is not Record Store Day related, but it came on Record Store Day. It got received on Record Store Day. And it's this great, it's a two-sider, one long track each side. The first side he's doing like Indian vocal, not Native American, but Indian, like sort of Bollywood style, like it's a sample throughout the whole track. And it's actually quite hypnotic, I found, and it took me a few times to get sucked into it. And the second side, it's really, what he's really doing is, you know, what they did with Indian classical music was doing like the morning and evening ragas, and that's kind of the idea. The second side is a bit of a try to remember now. It's got, I think it's like a sample of like a zither or something like that throughout the whole side. It's beautiful. Morning, evening Fortet. What else? What else can I show? I'm running out of steam. Talking. Beautiful Canadian record. I don't know if Romuald is still here. A group I had very little knowledge of. Stunty. To make a long story short, he was after this record. He got a copy, and then I found a copy for really great deal. Yeah, I know there's a current reissue of, I guess, the Free Will, right? I'm not familiar with what that sounds like. For Suckers Only. Fred, you weren't in line in Australia, Melbourne this morning. Come on, I had you pegged for an RSD guy. L'Infonie, volume 33, all of their, I think it's volume 333, 333. This is a little bit like a Music Electronica Viva. It's sort of that free improv, psychedelic. Obviously, I wouldn't call it a psychedelic record, but obviously that's in here. This just came a couple days ago, but I'm behind the times in terms of what I've been able to get played recently. So this will hopefully get played tomorrow when I have some time. What else can I talk about? Let's see. Great dub record. This isn't anything related to RSD either. I'm just showing stuff now. Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch more on the label I'd love to sort of find, but you know, when you can. Highly recommend this dub album. We have Sir Coxsone Sound, King of the Dub Rock. This is actually an artist not really well known. He immigrated to England like many Jamaicans, West Indians did. And I believe this is recorded and conceived there, not a Jamaican original or Jamaican sort of originated pressing or idea or record. Lloyd Coxon came to England when he was 14. It says there's a whole biography on there about that. I don't know how many people know this guy. Pretty obscure. This is a stellar dub record. There's some great flute and some great sort of uncharacteristic sort of piano that sort of populates some of the the sort of tapestry that they tend to do. There are repressings of this. It I can't remember the sort of situation, but this is the original English pressing on this Safari. Beautiful label there. I highly encourage you to stream this one. Big shout out to my friend Justin who sort of kind of illuminated me to this one, really. He's really into dub and reggae. And I was vaguely familiar with it, but he was asking me if I was aware of it, and I had to seek it out. It's a beautiful album. A little bit of a corny cover. I mean, it's good. It's a good cover. But it's from 1975. The Safari label. ERC, yeah. ERC is for suckers. What's up, Mikey? What's up, man? Yeah. Long Island in the house. Bollywood samples, right on the Fortet. So, this came in this week. I did play this one. Checked out majorly. Great, great condition and all that stuff. So, that's good. What else can we talk? King of the Dub Rock. I'm going to show some other things that I haven't shown in a video yet, but I just figured I'd pull them out because solo guitar record, French record. I don't know if Romuald's still here. Fred probably knows this. Raymond Bonny from 1971. L'oiseau, l'arbre, le bâton. Birds, trees, and what, the wind? No, birds and trees at least. Solo guitar on the Futura label. Fix my earbud there. On the Futura label. Raymond Bonny. This is the lime green Futura. Nice. This was I was able to get in the US. So that's why I got it. Very fair. Very fair. My favorite dub album. I mean, I've talked recently about Keith Hudson playing it cool, playing it right. Is might be it from 1980. King Tubby and the meets the Upsetter, or King Tubby, at the Grassroots, and of course with Augustus Pablo. I mean, you could go. There's so many Lee Perry related records you could go with. I tend to say that Keith Hudson record, playing it cool, playing it right. Flesh of My Blood, Blood of My Blood, or Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood is amazing. Yeah, I mean, that's a wormhole we could get into, showing some dub records. But hey, Michael. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'd be curious to hear one, but I don't know that I care that much. Yeah, oh yeah, I did see that. I did see that. It had been done in the past, but that one's gone. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed he is. If you don't have Playing It Cool, Playing It Right, yeah, Sean's right. Look up I don't remember who's reissuing it, but it's coming. I saw it somewhere. Anyway, this is a beautiful French solo guitar record. Um, Getting out there, playing with effects and things. Recommend it. I don't think this has been reissued. I don't know. I if I see some of these records turn up in the U.S., I typically don't hesitate too much because you don't usually have that chance. So here's an oddity. I just was able to get an original of this record. Tell me if anyone knows this. I fell in love with this reissue. It's how I discovered it. This should have been in the Acid archives, but it's past the year that they were doing it, 1882. This is from 1984. This is called Department Store Santas. And it's not for everyone. It's a weird record for sure. It's sort of a kid making 4-track music at home, or 4-track recordings at home. I think it's 4-track. He had a tape machine of some sort, 1984. I think, is it self-titled? I always forget. I think it's, the back says "We have lost something special." It's definitely a Acid Archives type private press thing. And here we have it. You can find the reissue. Superior Viaduct, everyone knows that label. They did a reissue of this, believe it or not. Sort of out of their wheelhouse. But they did. And it's hard to explain. It's sort of somebody experimenting at home, and really maybe there's a bit of a Swell Maps thing happening. Maybe there's a bit of a Daniel Johnston thing happening. It's that private press kind of oddity. You have to sort of like that thing. I don't think there's any insert. Oh, there. Oh, right. It's got like a custom inner sleeve that they made. So there you have it. African Head Charge, Songs of Praise is amazing. African Head Charge is great. Oh, Baton, it's concrete. Thank you, Fred. Let's see. John, do I order through SoundDome? No, I don't. I don't typically need to, because I'm set up as a business. I have like a basically like an LLC. I was at one point or another, I was gonna have open a shop. I never did. I just made like online. I started doing like an online store maybe 10, 13 years ago. I mainly just sold on eBay, and it was really a way for me to just get wholesale records. And yeah, so I buy a lot of stuff from Forced Exposure, who in turn, has a lot of the same titles that SoundDome does, so I don't really typically need to. I've thought about it, but don't need it at the moment. Jeff, I got your record, man. I listened to it yesterday with my wife. I wasn't expecting like sort of like instrumental. I guess I didn't remember, what the discussion was in terms of what your music sounded like, but it was really good. I'll show it when I get up. I'll go grab it. But yeah, great instrumental, sort of like funky jazz, but like guitar led, I guess. I listened to it just the one time, so I need to hear it again. But yeah, I've been wearing the shirt all day. Luckily, I didn't get too sweaty swinging records. So anyway, Department Store Santas. I recommend it. It's not for everyone. What else do we have? Yeah, I haven't seen them lately. No, not since WFMU. I'll show. Here's one I got from a Canadian friend, Bean, who was selling records through Instagram. A lot of people know this. Duo Exchange, Frank Lowe, Rashid Ali. This one I actually took out of the shrink. It was gross. I didn't like it. It was bumming me out, so I took this one out of the shrink. But as you can see here, fire record for sure. It's on the Survival, Rashid Ali's label. Survival. I do have the full Duo Exchange sessions that came out maybe just before the pandemic. I have that over there, but I love, I don't actually always get into duo recordings. Not always. This one's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Yeah, it's on its way, Jeff. EP. We did 2 EPs. So This one I've just spun the one time this past week. I got plenty of stuff to play. It's always I'm always looking for time. My schedule's usually pretty full, so I don't get to listen to a ton of records every day. Only a couple if I'm lucky. I bet Michael, OG. Michael's around for a lot of good stuff. Here's another one. I got this one for these dead stock copies around for this record quite a bit, and this is a Portuguese artist, duo Portuguese artist. It's the second album. Nuno Canavaro did with Carlos Maria Trindade. This is from 1991, from a label from Lisbon. And how do I describe this record? Well, I'm going to talk about the other Nuno Canavaro record in the video, but a Portuguese composer, sound manipulator, music concrete, experimental for sure. He started working with this vocalist here. And wait, no, actually, no, she's not a vocalist. What am I saying? They work together. You have things like marimba, flutes, different percussions, brass, trombone, samples. Cannavaro's doing vibraphone, different guitars. I mean, it's a really cool sort of amalgamation of things happening. Yeah, I'm going to talk about Lux Cuba in another video, but this is the follow-up that they did in 91. I think Cannavaro, that first record's from 88. It's beautiful, very cool. Hard to really sort of explain exactly what this is like, but it does have that sort of infusion of sort of ethno and yeah, and just fusion. I guess it's a fusion record in many ways, but not jazz fusion. You know. I'll show you what's going on with this label. So this is not a Record Store Day haul video. I'm just showing stuff now, but if you're interested in seeing what I had to say about Record Store Day today, you can rewind the tape, as they say. Here they are. Or there is Cannavaro. There's Maria. Yeah. There we have that. I don't think I have anything else to show. So we may just wrap it up here. Always talk more another time. I shared the link. I'll share it one more time and then maybe wrap things up. Down to the chat for a little while if anyone wants to. Yeah, I have it. I have it over there. Over yonder. I tend to collect most Sonic Youth for sure. So I love Sonic Youth. This kind of goes back to my youngest days of listening and finding interesting music. Sonic Youth is pretty crucial for me, and I've been enjoying, you know, what some of they've been doing in the reissues, you know. So oh no, this is the I didn't say the title. Mr. Walagulu. Mr. Walagalu. It's that. Anyway, it's been good. Been good stuff lately. It's a good day at RSD. And yeah, I was talking earlier some Hold That Tiger. Absolutely have that. Been a lot of really great streams lately. I just definitely want to mention French Vinyl Addict and Jose showing doing some great streams based on music from, you know, Central America. Highly recommend checking out Jose's channel if you didn't already or don't already. Of course, you know, a lot of you folks in the chat have been doing great work, of course. Sean, I need to catch up on some of your videos, but any case, yeah, it's been good lately. Sonic Youth 2. Oh, well, today was the Hits It for Squares comp, which is like their joke at like doing a Starbucks compilation of some kind. It's like a curated Sonic Youth comp. I think it came out, what, as a CD at some point. Not sure why they quite did that one. But there was actually a lot of people looking at that, looking for that one. So I guess that's good. What else? Anything else today that, any other highlights out there from record store day? I've used records in particular. That's what I'm mostly interested in. Anyone find a lot of shops do a lot of great sales deals. They replenish with, they hold back a lot of cool things. So I'm just curious if anyone found some mega good stuff today. Yeah, I found, I'll just show it again briefly, the two that I held reserved at the store. Not this one, but I talked about this at the beginning of the show, stream. The Pale Shades of Grey. I wanted this one from the onset. I really love this series, and I haven't opened this yet, but Acetone, which maybe I'll just open it right now. I'll just open this thing. See if I can peel the sticker. I don't really like to keep gatefold records in the shrink. That bugs the crap out of me. So there we go. Sticker came right off. Can I restick it? I can. Yeah. Oh, you did get that too. It is legendary. I have it over there. Maybe I'll go grab it since no one's joining me. Nice. Eyes to Zenneubauten and yellow. Very good. Let's open this thing up. Again, if you don't know this band, I highly recommend checking out. The best thing to do is probably look at that Light in the Attic compilation, which is a sort of compilation of stuff on their albums and then unreleased things. It sort of tells the tale of what their sound is like. I don't know if it's in print right now. It's kind of in and out of print. Don't overpay. Don't pay up for that if you're looking at it. The Acetone compilation, which I'll show that too. I have all the Acetone records. This is the compilation that Light in the Attic did that I highly recommend checking out. If you don't know it, like I said, they repress it here and there. So this is here we go. Let's open this up. I was wondering about that. I was just wondering, you know, it's a 90s recording. And I do have a guest. And I'm happy to see Mr. Chris. What's up,
Hey, just
friend?
wanted to say hello.
Yeah. I was like, I wouldn't say I was struggling, but I was swimming a bit. Talking an hour straight. Acetone. Did you guys have this record at Record Wonderland today?
I think so. We got I think we only got like like we have some stock that didn't make it in time, but I think we got that one.
Okay. This one I think did make it to from most of what I heard, but we gotta open this puppy up. Yeah, so how was your day today? It sounded like it was awesome. Chris?
Yeah, it was really busy.
Everything moved on out for the most part?
Yeah. Yeah, it was just really busy and it was a good day.
It's a good day. I mean, it's always, I always sort of get a little bit funny about it because it's like it's so much waste in a way. Like you're just like, man, look at all this records that's been pressed that a lot of people just do not need, and resources and everything, and it's expensive. Like, you know, standard pricing for these things now is like $40. You know, who's on the low side? Is it Chris on the low side or is it me? It sounded okay on my end. I was hearing Chris pretty good. Let me know, Fred, was it me or Chris who was low? Sounds like it's maybe me. I can turn up. Yeah, I can turn up. Anyway, Chris back in a second. Yeah, well, I mean, I always see this going to the stores months, days, whatever, years later, they're still sitting on bins and bins full of this stuff. And I've talked about it here at the shop here. Our goal is to get rid of everything by like Monday. So tomorrow, like, the online, the online world is always busy moving stuff. We do not keep anything. We'll sell it for cost if we have to. We just like it's only gonna get like some of these prices drop so far down. It's not worth keeping around. So you gotta shift it. Anyway,
Yeah, the I mean, the obvious things that our shop sold out, like that stuff you would figure, like Olivia Rodrigo, um, South Park was a big one.
we didn't get that one. That was funny.
Steve got the copy number 1.
Oh,
We got the
number
very
one,
first
very
one.
good.
He's keeping that one because it was a number 1.
Does
Um,
he does he do that? Does he collect that kind of thing, or he just felt like it?
uh, it's just because it was number 1.
Okay.
He likes Primus. It's a legendary concert.
Nice.
So it was it's just something he thought would be cool to keep.
Yeah.
The Sonny Rollins box looked really nice. I mean, we only had one of those that was gone.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing to me. If I had to pick one for myself, I thought the most interesting one for me, if I would have picked one, would have been the Yusef Lateef. I thought that was because it's like the prime Atlantic era Yusef Lateef, Kenny Barron, Bob Cunningham, um, Tootie Heath, Albert Heath on drums. So I thought that looked pretty nice.
Absolutely. It's just some of the prices on these was just like incredible, but and the quality. I always wonder what they're gonna really sound like. So, but yeah,
Yeah,
I could see it.
we had a guy who dropped a grand like early on. He
Mm-hmm.
came up with he had his own, and he wasn't a flipper. He was excited to be there. I'm like, damn, okay, go for it,
On the
dude.
jazz records.
What's that?
On the jazz records.
No, just RSD
Just
stuff, all
okay.
kinds of stuff. I mean, we had a 20% off used going on at the same time, which was did pretty well with that. Um, so that drew in a lot of customers.
Yeah,
Uh,
Tootie Heath just passed.
so
He's
yeah, it was. I like Record Store Day in terms of I think it's fun for me
mm-hmm.
just to mingle, with the people. Like I was telling Steve on our break, it's the commonality between every single person that comes in our shop and an Angry Mom, for example. We all love music.
Yeah,
It's
that's what it
everybody's
comes down
taste
to.
is different. Like there's a universal love of music, and when you're around people that are enthusiastic about whether it's Olivia Rodrigo or it's Sonic Youth or whatever, it's just, hey, you can relate to the passion the person has and the excitement of finding something.
Yeah, and what I noticed today, and I usually notice, is like everyone is super polite and appreciative. Like
Yeah.
we're a pretty small store, and like we have a pretty antiquated way of checking people out. Like it's definitely not fast, but everyone's like totally cool with it. They're totally cool to wait, and they go around and shop while they're waiting to check out. Like so, a lot of people buying all kinds of other things, and they're like just happy to be they kind of seem happy to be giving you their money, or they're just appreciative that you're there, that the store is there, because there are some people that you don't really see. They're not like regulars always, um, but you know I think they're grateful in some ways, and so we never have a problem. We never run into issues really with things, people in line, and there's people that like making sure that the person behind them gets the thing they want and looking out for the titles that they're looking like each other are looking for. That's cool to see.
Yeah. The same here. I mean, we never have any. We actually had a pretty good plan. So it was, we had arrows and it was cordoned off, and I think we hand out numbers, so I think we got up to
Yeah,
like 150 maybe, which is good for a small
that's very
suburban
good.
suburban little shop. And I recognize a lot of the people I see all the time there, and I kind of know what they're going for. The first lady, I think, was there at 2:30 the day previous, and she was number one last time. And she was just there. She comes in. We knew she was going to get the Sabrina Carpenter and the Olivia Rodrigo, but she was like over the moon about it. So I'm like, hey, we only got one copy of the Carpenter. So she got it, and someone who actually wants it, fine with me. I think that's great.
Yeah, that one was a big topic. The La Fée, the cello, that cello record there was a lot of people looking for that. We didn't have that many of those, but
I don't think we had any of that.
Here he is, Mr. RSD.
Cheers.
Mr. RSD. Yeah.
I don't think he's too amused with my tag there.
Was that?
Brett, do you hit shops at all on RSD, or
on principle? I don't go.
Not even to buy like.
I could have answered that for him.
Get no. I mean, look, years and years ago, one of my local shops used to do 20% off everything, but no new records. Just like they didn't get any new records. They just celebrated by putting 20% off stock. So I used to go, and but I haven't done that for years. And I mean, it sounds a bit, phony for me to say, but every day is record store day, pretty much. I mean, what we like. You said just before I was listening to you, I was in the garden pulling some weeds and stuff, and I was listening to you when you were saying, "Oh, I can only listen to 2 records a day," and I think to myself, how many records do we buy every week?
I mean, I have this inner turmoil, inner conversation with myself every day.
It's crazy because it doesn't make any sense. You think about it, it doesn't make any sense. But it's like anything. It's kind of like an addiction, but it's a cultural addiction, which is all right. It's not, it's not meth or anything, or gambling. It's, so it's all
so
right.
much fun to discover things and discover
that's right.
You didn't know about. Like Chris is always
correct.
Throwing all sorts of great ideas and records my way, and it's like you want to get them all then, but it's like I can't physically process these. But you're always like, well, I'm gonna live a long life. I hope. And so here it is. It's here. But it's that's the struggle. It's sort of like the want and desire to sort of like discover things and like absorb things, but the practicality of just having only so much time and so much mental capacity to even really absorb it.
Correct. And I like now I commute a lot every day. I will commute like 2.5 hours a day, so I'm on the train and I listen to a lot of music on the go, and it's great because you can hear lots of things. But even then, I'm only touching like the surface. I'm just scraping the surface of what I want to listen to, and then you go home and you get 3 packages on the doorstep, and you go, "Oh, fucking hell! What am I doing with this stuff?"
I had 4 today, and I hadn't really put much into the pipeline lately. I've been getting a lot of nice VCLT. Chris sent me some VCLT this week, which was amazing. So I've had some like gifts and things, but my wife was like, "Wow, you really hit it out of the park today. 4 boxes." I'm like, "Record store day."
Yeah, but I mean, both of you work in record stores, so it makes sense that you're sort of connected with it. If you were not working, let's just say, if you're not working in a record store, would you care for record store day?
No, I mean,
no, of course you wouldn't.
I don't know what you think, Chris, but where I am, we're the only store, so like I might just go into the store to say hi to those people, my friends, and just check in. But I mean, I wouldn't be in line or any of that.
No. I enjoy working there, and for me, compared to my actual job, it's like
Yeah.
just a total relief. So, and I always
100%.
have
Yeah.
friends. My friend stopped in today, and I literally would not let him leave without buying the Between record that I've been trying to sell for a year. And I'm like, dude, you're taking this record. I'm tired of looking at it. And he bought
I
it.
like it.
So I did my job.
No,
Yeah,
I mean that's
it's
exactly it, Chris. Like I work full time at Cornell, so like that this is like my fun day. This is like, oh, I get to go hang out and talk about records and sell records, and so yeah,
yeah.
same.
I mean, this is the thing, like, and record stores as institutions, they for us, they're crucial places. I mean, for me, I don't go to the record store there to come back with a stack of records. I go because I like the interaction with people behind the counter, and I have I like flipping through the bins. It's a 360 experience, just about. You and in record stores that I love going into, I mostly go to chat with the people behind the counter, and and say, how's it going? What are you listening to? And and when they're receptive enough, and you can have a conversation with, well, not trying to push stuff, buy this, buy this, buy this. So you can just have a sort of organic conversation. They're the ones that I go back to the most, because like, I don't know any less than they do in some ways. Like, I go in there and I have something to offer, which is good. We have good interactions, and I'm sure you two would be the same. You would interact in the same way, and discuss with your customers in that way. So
Well, Fred, though, I'm just curious though. Like, I mean, I've seen so many of your videos. I'm pretty aware of the kind of your kind of taste. Obviously, there's certainly has to have been some releases on these days that you're interested in from a content perspective. So, do you ever seek these things out online or after the fact?
but the thing, Dom, is that I don't even look at the list. I don't, like, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't even know what has been released. I find that years later, or like a couple of years later, when I've bought a record store day exclusive without knowing. Like,
Right, like
the
you
other day
might
I
look
was,
this and be like, oh, there's nothing on this to even tell me when the shrinks off. It's like, oh,
yeah.
this is an RSD. I didn't even know it.
But the other day I was replaying the Madlib project, the Jahari Masamba unit thing.
Right, that was one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was a Black Friday or records. I don't know. It's got a sticker on it,
Hmm.
but I didn't buy it on Record Store Day. I bought it because like, it was just one of these things. I don't even know what's on Record Store Day. I mean, I've got no. I'm seriously, and I'm going to be honest, and I'm even on camera. I don't really care, because I'm at least I'm true to myself. But just about every video that's got RSD in the title in the vinyl community, I skip. I don't watch them, because like,
Yeah.
I try to stay true to my ideals, to the limit, to the edge. So in a way, it's like, I'm not going to indulge. I know what you're saying. There must be titles that would be interesting, or so on and so forth, but, like, I feel so annoyed by all the stuff that they reissue that shouldn't be reissued. Like, every year got all these Bowies and Elton Johns and things that they have no place in the reissue market, because you can find them everywhere, and they're clogging factories for what? Or freaking Taylor Swift pressing, like, 100,000 or 500,000 records for, like, I just don't understand it. Like, I
I
don't
don't
get
even
the mentality. But I mean, it's just who I am. I don't.
Taylor Swift. I actually don't even. I don't have any issue with that. My issue is more with these shitty like represses of things that we've had 100 times,
That's what
or
I'm saying before. Yeah.
the gimmicky stuff. Like Taylor Swift is Taylor Swift. She's got her legions of fans, but like this other stuff is like, who needs it? Like, I mean, did we need a Fleetwood Mac rumors? Like, people wanted that thing. I'll tell you that much. But there's so much of it. So much of it is of that ilk. But then there's those few that I actually am like, well, this is actually legitimately interesting, and I'm glad it made it out. I was asked today, what before the store opened, like we have well, the store was open, but we didn't. We were like letting the customers shop, and then we were going to serve the exclusives at 10 a.m. our time. And there was the other college here, IC Ithaca College, routinely will have students doing student films, student projects, and they always like to come to the record store to do interviews and talk about, oh, records, what's that all about? And I was asked like, what was my favorite record store day release ever? And I'm like, well, I never play that stuff of what I have. I've gotten rid of so much of it. But this one is legitimately amazing. I don't know how many know this. Some of you will know it. This is from 2019. This is a group or artist I was somewhat familiar with, but been meaning to check out. It's John Ferdinando and Peter Howell. They would end up, Peter Howell would end up being involved in Doctor Who and the BBC Radiophonic Workshop. John Ferdinando, not so much. But they were in this group, like a studio British group called Ithaca, where I live, but that was just a coincidence. They're British. And this is just some of the most beautiful pastoral psychedelic folk. I was so smitten with this. It caused me to go out and buy all the records. Of course, they're very rare, but even the reissues were tough to get. And this one, I probably would have missed this group if not for this repackage. And so this is on Munster Records, and it's like a double LP of almost all of their stuff. There's a CD included with more, but it is to this day just some of my favorite music. So there's those discoveries too that do happen.
Yeah, no question. I mean, you can find. I'm sure that there are some really great. It's just for me. I don't even know what's on the list, so I'm just like.
Yeah, you're just oblivious to it. You're like, whatever.
Unless I'm told by someone, there's that really great, blah 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 coming out. I'm pretty much clueless and frankly uninterested. I mean, it's not that I'm not being snobby or anything or dismissive, but it's just there's enough records,
right?
There's enough records that I need to listen to. There's enough records that I am buying on a regular basis that that enter my universe and my consciousness on an almost daily basis that I don't need to worry about other. Like there's enough things to keep me entertained, and I'm sure. But in saying this, I understand that for record stores, it may be a day where you do a lot of business, and it might save your year, and all these considerations. But it's not someone like me who is hindering this, because I go to record stores all the time anyway. So, me not going to it or not supporting it is, I buy records all the time. So I don't. I'm not. I'm not part of any of any of these issues. I just don't go to it. Simply, yeah.
Well, I mean, no one here, anyone in the chat, probably is really the prime target for this.
No,
it's
no, for sure.
Buyer.
Yeah, and in the end, I mean, look, I don't want to the experience of queuing with hundreds of people in front of a store or whatnot, and and going into a store crammed to the. I saw a picture of one of my favorite stores in Melbourne, Licorice Pie, which is like probably the best vinyl only store that we have here. And I saw a picture on their Instagram page that they posted, and the shop was just filled with people. I mean, it's nice for them, but I'm like, it would be hell for me. Like I like digging peacefully. I like to be able to access the crates, with some do you know what I mean? Like it's, if I go to a record fair, yes, you're gonna have to compete with people around you and stuff, and that's expected. If I go to a record store, which I can go to every week if I want to, I'm not going to subject myself to the experience of being, boxed in just because I go. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm not being, offensive.
There's no real reason for you, unless there was, maybe they're dropping a bunch of interesting used records that day. But I understand you don't want to be doing Duke and battle with Olivia Rodrigo fans. So
yeah. And what does Chris? What was your record store day experience like, Chris, yesterday?
I've done like 8 of them, so it was fine. I mean, I saw a couple friends that come in. I basically just line queue and help, and you know, restock the bins or whatever. And I don't, as a person who I don't like people in general, which is, but or I have a hard. I'm like you. I like it where it's peaceful and that's not really my scene. But since I'm not, there's nothing I need to look at. It was fine because I could stand off and just talk to someone about looking up for an OG of Blue Train by John Coltrane, and I'm like, yeah, good luck, dude. Uh, things like that. But it was it's to me it's fun. It's supporting my friend who owns the shop, who's a very close friend of mine, and he's paying us double time, which is very generous. Bought us lunch. I mean, it was like Dom said about when he does his IT work at Cornell. And I do my thing at my job. It's like it sucks. It's a job, and that's for me like a way to be in my element where I'm comfortable around what I'm doing. I like talking. I actually have a passion for what I'm talking about, not like someone asking me about a computer or something. I'm like, I don't care, dude. I know more about Russian literature than I know about computers. I don't want to answer your question. So, but it's for me, it's nice to and I love like I told Dom, I love like when someone comes in and they're like, hey, I'm looking for an album, and I'm like, oh, I know exactly where that is. Grab it, put it in their hands. They're like, oh man, they're really excited. And even if it's not my thing, I can relate to the passion they have and the excitement for it. And I like that part of it, but I, like you asked, I wouldn't, if I wasn't working it, I could care less, about
because you're not into, well, number one, first and foremost, you're not into the reissue game anyway. You only buy originals, so that's number one. That's sort of your breakfast holiday for you. Just it's completely. I mean, I've known Chris for a decade now, and if I know anything about Chris, he buys originals.
Well, I do have a record store day tradition, which Dom, on Instagram we have our chat, like on WhatsApp, me and you chat, and we exchange photos and information, and I always buy something vintage to support the store, and I got 2 nice things today I was happy with, and that's my tradition, like to support, to put some money back in. I'm like, I'll pick up a vintage item, even if it's something for like Dom or a friend. It's like, I'm not going to let, someone would like this. So I always, that's how I participate. So in terms of, buying something, and I do like Dom said, I do like, I'll see some of the titles and I'll be like, oh, they put that's interesting. I never knew this existed. Like this concert was recorded, but that's as far as it goes, like the Bowie title they had. I was like, just buy the fucking Ryko CDs. Do you need? I mean, it's like it was.
What it is. It's
it's like it's redundant. But like Dom said, I agree with Dom totally. Where it's like, I mean, even like someone asked if we had any of the Gil Scott Winter in America, but we're out of it. I'm like, bro, I can get you an original for less. I mean, so what's the fun there?
I bought an original of this in Australia, so if I can,
it's out there.
I think you probably have a good chance to find find one in America.
I am aware of Africa Bomb. I'm still trying to worm my way into that collection. I'm working on that.
I remember reading about this. Yeah,
it's all archived at Cornell University.
I mean, if you're going to do a Strata East related thing for record store, they do Shamak Farrar. Do something that's the original is impossible to find. Do M Boom. The only one I didn't have the whole label.
Yeah,
I had the whole label, but
I've seen the one of my shops in Melbourne has got the only Japanese reissue of
which
Emblem
is expensive.
on
Yeah.
released, and it's about $250 Australian. And I was really on the fence of grabbing it because it's accessible, but it's a record you actually never ever see, and most people don't even know it exists really.
Yeah, I actually found out about it from, I didn't know it existed even when I started collecting Stredies till a little later. It took me years to acquire all of them over a long period of time. They all went to Japan, but all those Tribe records, I mean, it took years to do that. But I was lucky where I was on the internet in the early days and even pre-internet where no one was looking for those things. So, the Black Jazz records here in Chicago, because it's technically a Chicago-based label. I used to find those for Doug Karn records for $5. And then someone's telling me, man, I paid $100 for this. I'm like,
yeah.
I mean, but that was back when no one cared about it.
Exactly, and that's right. And I mean, it's those times are gone. Hey, Jeff, I see that when I was pulling weeds, I was listening to you talking, and you sent a copy of your album to Dom.
Yeah.
Which one did you send you? Which album did you send?
I'll go grab it.
My favorite Matching Mole album would be the one with the mole on it, the whatever it's called, with the
that's the first one, isn't it?
The first one, like the Little Red Record. No, it's not. The Little Red Record. I'm not a super fan of, but the other one I like it. I mean, it's just a matter of preference. You got. Yeah, I've got the 3 volumes of that. It's very
nice
cool.
Stuff.
Yeah.
We listened to this yesterday.
I mean, Jeff, as we talked about last time, he used to make more videos, and he had this channel where he posted his own music, playing drums and keyboards, and very sort of like psych funk, I would say. It's kind of like, without being offensive, it's kind of in the sonic kind of Hendrix meets, I don't know, Parliament, something like that. It's got this kind of like really kind of.
So it sounds like Black Image. Purple Image.
But they're cool. They're very cool records. They're very cool.
There was an English beat reissue this year, by the way, but
I saw a comment by someone just before who wrote, "I'm sure it could be nice talking to people in line, seeing what they're going for." I'm talking about Record Store Day, and I'm sure it would be a great experience if I don't tend to talk to people in lines, so it's hey Davis, but like it's, I don't know how you are with that, but chatting to people in lines, it's not really something that I do that I do about myself, but it's just a comment.
I agree. It's got to be pretty. I probably didn't even need what I grabbed today, but it's okay. 2 titles is probably my max for this kind of thing. I mean, a lot of these archival records in general, I don't play very often. I'm really more focused on, proper releases, really.
Yeah, but and I mean, it's like I've already got enough records to listen to it, to be honest, to be perfectly honest. And most of the time I'm like, it's just, I bought these and I haven't played them, or like sometimes I feel like I buy records for a rainy day. It's like you buy them and then 6 months later you go, I bought this record 6 months ago, I need to play that now. It's sometimes you're not exactly in the mood to play that record when you bought it. It's just a stupid thing, but don't you find that at times that you buy something, but it's only like months later that you actually go, I bought this. This is cool. I've got good taste. You know?
That's the nice thing about having a collection is just to, like we've talked about this, rediscovering things you have and being like, wow, this is, I don't need to buy anything. I just go shopping here, you know.
Yeah, and when you hang out with when you're constantly chatting with characters like Alex and Dom and Gibson, who Gibson's record budget, like that guy spends more in a day than I spend in a year practically. They're always bad. I mean, they're always. I'm like, God damn it, I don't want to buy anything. And then I'll go on Discogs. Oh, I'll have this in my cart, and I'll be like, fuck. But in my defense, a lot of times, and Fred, you know me, it's like a $10, $15 record. It's like a world music record, or I do try to keep it some kind of limit. You know, where Dom and Dave are talking about tour records, and I'm like, okay, you gotta have fun with that. can't afford those, so you know.
Yeah.
Well, this is a good point here that Sean said. This is so often the case when I look up some things, I'm like, oh, what's the story with this record? What's the original?
Yeah,
like, oh,
that's exactly
like
what Sean said.
$25.
That's right. I see it all the time.
Yeah.
I love the comment from Josh D there saying, you know, I still have records I bought 10 years ago. I still haven't listened. I mean, we can all relate to this in one way or another. You know, you bought records and you basically file them. You know, like, I mean, everybody has. If you've got a significant enough collection in size, you know.
I can definitely say I've played everything here once because.
Yeah, I mean once, yeah, but
no, I know.
It's a very, 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 very superficial understanding of what the record is. You know, like you play it once or twice and you go, oh, okay. Like,
well, Fred, I know I've seen that on like a video or two videos. You'll be like, I don't know what the fuck this sounded like. It was good. I remember that. Like, here it is.
Yeah, no, but because when I make a video, I usually have played the record. Well, no, not usually. I have played the records. So every time I make a video, I will talk about records that I've played or revisited or heard or whatever. But you could play a game in which, you know, like you sort of blindfold someone and pull a record randomly in the collection and play the first track and say, "What is this?" And like, I'm pretty sure like you like in a lot of cases you wouldn't know what the band was or the artist was, because how would you? There's so much, you know.
Remember everything, yeah.
It's like, yeah. But in the reissue versus originals, for me, it's all down to availability. I think that's the one of the key components of how I get the records is more like, okay, well, I live in Australia. It's miles away from anywhere else. If I want an original, it's going to cost me X amount of money to import it from overseas. There's a reissue that sounds good, that's available in front of me. You know, sometimes and often it's that kind of battle of knowing, you know, what I can afford, and also, you know, you want to support the stores that you go to. You know, like it's various considerations. I think, you know, good on people for sticking to the old OG thing and just going for it, and that's fine. But where I am, it's, you know, sometimes I find OGs, sometimes I find reissues, and I think you have to be content with what you can find, and because we're not made of money, and I'm also not made of time either. So, like, I can't spend days and days on Discogs tracking records. I don't have the patience and the mental resolve for it. I've got too many things to do, you know.
This is a good point here. You know, that's a good point. You know, you could buy the thing on Discogs for cheaper, or you could support your store that you're in, kind of like what you're saying, Fred.
Yeah, that's what I tend to more do, you know, like, and go for what I love, and I think it's probably since COVID, I would say, is really supporting also the local artists. Like I'm all about that. Just buying records from the local scene that I made here. You know, that I resonate with, not just anything, obviously, but like things that sound good and are interesting. You know, I think that's what I've probably most focused on in the past few years is local records more than anything. Yeah.
Yeah, I like finding local, like Illinois, Chicago things. Those are always great. I have a small. When I used to go to record, when I would go, when me and my friends would drive across the Midwest or wherever, when we go digging, I always would head for like, if I always would look if a shop had a local artist bin, and I found a lot of great stuff in that, like local acts that I was like, I found when I went to Minnesota, I found I found this record if I could find it. It's a big time record now, but see if I could find it somewhere in here. I don't know. You guys may know it, you may not. When I was in Minnesota, I found this. Where is it? The local, you can see that. Morris Wilson, Fantasy Island. It's a saxophone player from Minnesota. Made like 2 records. They're both, the first one's impossible. But this one is very hard to find. It's very cool record, kind of like spiritual jazz funk, I would describe it as. Really nice. He does like a version of a jazz version of like Rapper's Delight that's amazing. It's short, but it's really good. But yeah, I found that in Minnesota. I was really happy to find that there. Things like that. I like that about shops, like the local artists. And before I met Dom, it's funny because going back in my memory, I used to see a lot of like great like folk and guitar stuff, and I'd occasionally pick it up. But if I knew Dom then, I would have just been like, hey, because it was cheap. A lot of like that folk guitar stuff, like especially in the Midwest, see a lot of that. And
we see it here too. We see it here too. Yeah.
But I like when you show like a lot of the Australian artists, because to me they're like, a lot of them, especially the newer ones, they're interesting, and I don't know, I never heard of them because it's all cool, and I like that. It's pretty cool. But you've always done that anyways, ever since you were making videos,
Yeah, I mean, I've tried, but somebody's making a comment on Pablo Jazz there, and that's the thing with like this new vinyl market that we're in, like this kind of new reality of reissuing everything and anything. And like I saw that Pablo is being reissued by and I think to myself, why is Pablo being reissued? You can find them, they're a dime a dozen. You'd buy the entire freaking discography of Pablo in on just about any used bin. Like it's very strange. Oh, there's my good friend Amos on the chat there. He was here yesterday. We played records together. And he lives about 500 meters from me. He lives right the corner. Yeah, he's a fellow record nerd who is also a neighbor.
I would agree with that.
Yeah,
it is comforting.
Yeah, no, it's cool. Yeah, we had a great session yesterday. We tend to just sit together and he, if he comes here, he'll bring a bag of records, and we try to sort of craft a little sonic story together. Like he'll play a track here, and then I'll try to follow it with something, and and it ends up going in all directions, and ends up with playing 24 Hours by Joy Division, because in the end, all you want to hear is just like some pop music. It's kind of cool. I don't know if you guys do that. I don't know if you guys do that with friends in real life, but
people here I'm meaning to get together really soon. Nico, who I know, I think Chris, he
lives
you should meet Cedric. Cedric is a top guy. Cedric
to meet.
He's awesome. I mean, you should. He's in France at the moment, but you should meet. He's a great guy. He's I mean, just to think of the like, think of the vinyl community here. There you go. Some dude from Ithaca writes a message to me in a video and says, "I've been watching you for years. I'm coming to Melbourne. Could I meet you?" What do? I invite him to stay. I don't even know him. I'm like, okay, come and stay at my place, and he stayed here. That's vinyl community 101.
Yeah.
People talk about
Other
vinyl
side of the
community.
planet.
Yeah, you're going, okay, come and stay here, and and it was great. It was fantastic, and he's a great guy. You love him, and
Yeah, we will.
he works in Cornell like you do, so you should be
Yeah.
able to.
We've talked briefly. We're gonna figure it out, but
Yeah, me and Carm get together not as often as we used to, but it's very similar.
Yeah.
But Carm,
we've
the
done
problem,
videos
like,
with Carm.
yeah, with Carm will just come over and I'm like, dude, go ahead, man. We don't even really talk much. That's what's interesting. We don't have to. Like, we just put on the music and we just let it. He's very similar to me. We're very introverted, and we do. We don't feel like a need to have a conversation about the music. We just experience it and then maybe talk about it afterwards. So it's nice.
I'll just pull out because Amos wrote everything from ambient to classical to Vangelis, and like, here are some records we played yesterday.
I don't have. That's a great record.
Awesome.
It's a classic.
Yeah, it's a beautiful record, huh? And we played. I actually pulled this out that I hadn't played for ages because I never heard this, and I said, "This is the ultimate Eastern Jam Vangelis." That's a Chris Cole record, really. I mean, through and through. But it's, for those of you who don't know, it's a session that Vangelis recorded for BYG with Michel Ripoche on violin. Very, very cool. And it was this second part is called Hypothesis. And it's also a BYG session from Sound. Yeah, I know. As some records we played, we played this a bit. We played all sorts of things, and I pulled that this morning. I started the day with this. If you can, nice little thing, But we played tons of records. It's just like. It's pretty much endless, yeah. No, it's a cool. That.
Yeah, right. I don't know.
You guys know this one?
No, I don't know that.
You don't know. So she's a Belgian, sort of half Belgian, half Rwandan harp player. And it's basically a London jazz scene record, but it's very ambient. It's sort of minimal electronic ambient, but sort of new jazz, if you will, like London jazz scene meets ambient,
Right.
So yeah, very, very nice tool. Now we played lots. I'm just just a few things here and there, that we enjoyed. You guys want to show some other records?
That the second Vangelis is the drummer is the late Tony Oxley.
Yeah, I know it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's very cool. Yeah. Yeah.
Old VC flashback, Fred and Chris. Yep.
That I played yesterday. I actually John Coltrane of this, Mr. Like the Bird double bass at the start is it just gives me shivers when I play this. That's a John Coltrane 68 Chris Cole record, 100%. I remember years and years ago when you I think it was you who told people they were like dead stock copies for like $8 a piece on eBay.
highly recommend that.
Oh, it's just a killer record, Mr. Billy Higgins.
I've noticed it's funny when I looked on Discogs last on that. I think they're going like $40 now.
Yeah,
People appreciate that record.
Yeah, I played this morning. Carlos Nino on International Anthem, beautiful record.
Yeah, I know Carlos personally. I met him.
Oh, you do, yeah. Now,
Yeah.
but this is the same band as on the Andre 3000 record, I believe to be. But
oh, is that right? Okay.
It's the ambient version. It's a sublime record. It's beautiful. It's just yeah. I played this morning too. Deep Stream.
Yeah. I sold that, but I had that.
It's a reissue, obviously. I'm not made of money, but it's very. I really enjoyed it. Spiritual jazz with vocals, very nice. What else did we play? We played some Coil yesterday. We played some. Let's try to see what records I've got. This beautiful little record here. That's the keyboards player from the band Hiatus Coyote, Melbourne kind of funk band, and he made a solo piano record, a bit like a Keith Jarrett record, basically. And it's a really, really short run of records, but it's very nice. Just a solo piano record, that kind of a thing. I played this yesterday as well. Spaceman 3. Yeah,
I played that recently too.
Yeah, it's a beautiful record, huh? I'm big into Sonic Youth at the moment because I've just read the biography, the Thurston Moore. So I've been playing Sonic Youth all week long. So
nice.
It's a good sort of thing, Here's a record that I rediscovered last week for some reason. It's bizarre what you've got on your shelf. I hadn't played this for 10 years or something, but it's kind of like an ambient prog record. But like the guitar on this is amazing. It's Steve Winwood playing guitar on this. Do you know this record?
I'm familiar with it. I'm not really.
Yeah, I have all those later. I like their later J Warriors. I have Kite, all of those. Those are nice, and they're like $5 records. Generally here, at least. I think we have a couple at the shop, actually.
Yeah, we see those J Warriors here too, quite a bit.
Oh, that record particularly is very, very. I don't have any other J Warrior personally, but that's the one that I
love the ode to street hassle on this. It's so cool. I mean, the whole record is so good, but
it's a beautiful record. Yeah, all the way through. But just like what I love about record collecting and playing records is how much diversity you can have within one. If I think what we played yesterday to each other, there was just so much range and depth, from sort of neoclassical to like I started with this, which is, I love Dead Can Dance, obviously, but I was playing the Host of Seraphim, which to me is one of maybe even the best Dead Can Dance song, and started from there and ended up with playing Vangelis and all sorts of things, and you go, how do you get from A to B? It's very nice, very cool. Yeah. Sorry, I was talking a lot. You guys talk.
I did get I got a nice Vangelis recently that I didn't have the. Let me see if I can find it.
Here's another one that I played yesterday.
To read it. We'll reach Chatham.
This I played yesterday too. Fantastic.
It's a pretty challenging record, if I remember.
Oh, this one is not. I don't think it is. It's more like a crack rock record, really. Like the first side is really like kind of repetitive, and second side's got a fanfare on it, which is it's all right. It sounds like pop music.
That's what I listen.
Yeah, that so much is great. Yeah. It's great. Cheap as well. Yeah,
I got it locally. my other friends have a shop locally that had a bunch of nice stuff. I think I sent a picture to Dom, or he saw it, but yeah, this was one of the things that I got. And then I got, these are out that I've actually played kind of recently. Recognize this.
Oh yeah,
I can't afford an original, so I'm happy with that. I like the Rock on Brain pressings.
yeah.
I had Apocalypso out. I love Embryo. It's a good one with one of their, like, from the funky era. I had this release, Music Orchestra out, which is later when they went like straight, like totally 70s fusion, but still nice. Not as good as their early stuff. Great experimental record that's hard to find. Paul Church, kind of English, a little bit. Had that.
I got a bunch here. Hey, Alex.
Hey, everyone. Good night.
Just rolling through the same obscuro that we end up getting to. I try to talk about RSD and all of the obvious stuff, and we can't help but get sucked back into the weird stuff. Now here you are, Alex, to show all of your RSD haul.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. I've never. Well, today was probably the first day in a couple of weeks that I didn't go to a shop or didn't get anything in the mail or anything. So, but that's good because I hopefully will have some time to listen a little bit.
That just means Monday you're going to get like 4 things instead of,
Yeah. But no, I for whatever reason I've never been to it, and I think for a lot of the reasons I've been listening a little bit here and there, but yeah, not a big fan of waiting in line or crowds or anything like that. So
yeah, I'm just saying we would never do that. It's just a work day for me and a fun day, like just like Chris was saying.
Yeah. I mean, it's certainly interesting I'd be interested to hear from like shop owners, and obviously I have through the years, right, in different venues, but obviously I think there's a wide range of opinions as to whether it's a financially reasonable thing to participate for a shop versus not, and I think you see a kind of a wide variety of opinions there, and we'll see. I mean, I think we certainly see a lot of the stock that just sits there and just never sells, right? But and there's the stuff that immediately gets flipped on eBay for hundreds of dollars. I know that Beatles the 3-inch thing was already going for $600-700 on eBay this morning.
For my understanding on record stores, at least, is that record stores don't make very much money on new releases. Like the margin is very, very, very small, and you make real money on second-hand records. Am I right? Am I right to think this?
Yes. You guys can hear me okay?
Yeah, you're right.
Your volume is very low, Dom.
Did it just go low just now?
It was low for most. I mean, yeah. I mean, the contrast between you and Chris is kind of huge. Like you can hear Chris perfectly, and you just sort of like kind of.
It's weird because I hear all you guys at the same. But all right, there was another time I had this set up and I was blazing. I don't know if that's any better now, but
so
I did tell you early on. I did send you a message early on about it, but it's we can hear you enough. I mean, I can hear you.
Yeah, the markup on used records obviously is. I mean, much different. That's why when we have those sales, you have to be like no new release stuff because it's already not making much on it.
Yeah, no, nothing. I mean, it's typically buy something for 20, you sell it for 28 or $30. Obviously, it's actually even less than that sometimes. It depends.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. I know. I think Yeah, it sounded like it was between 25 to 30% ish. But yeah, when I see a record store, especially a new record store, and it's 90% new stuff. I mean, I just wonder how they keep the lights on, right? And especially here in California, where rent is so high, it just boggles the mind.
Yeah, Sun Ra's I'm always interested in Sun Ra, but I have so much Sun Ra I don't need to really. It's just not something I feel too moved by at this point. I have plenty of other ones I need to investigate. So
I would concur with that. It's like Sun Ra is almost an artist that you almost get more excited collecting than actually listening to. No disrespect to, I love Sun Ra, but I love a portion of Sun Ra, and I know intellectually that buying more Sun Ra is not going to make me like them more than what I mean. Like it's sort of he's kind of like the collector's you know artist. Like there's so much of it is very small, very, very limited, handmade, and all this stuff, which most of us will never see the light of day anyway, because there's such rare records. And I love, the aesthetic and the ideas, but there's a lot of Sun Ra I can't listen to because it's just not very good. Simply, I mean, like controversial opinion. Some of it is it's just all over the place. Some of it is really great. I mean, supersonic jazz and languidity, whatnot. There's some really great records that you go, wow, that's amazing. Angels and Demons at Play is great, but some of the Sun Ra is like, it's just noise. I mean, honestly, I mean, sorry for people in the chat and here, controversial opinion, maybe, but
I think it has something to do with why I'm not necessarily looking to expand what I have for Sun Ra unless I find a really good deal on something for I would love to find a Saturn pressing if possible, but just have one. But I feel pretty content with where I'm at with Mr. Sun Ra.
Yeah, which is why when you see all these RSD titles for Sun Ra, it's like, I mean, talk about something that's probably not necessary, right? I mean, he's got the most vast body of work probably of any single jazz musician, possibly, that's actually been recorded and put out, and a lot of it reissued too, right? And then we're adding more and more and more.
I bought quite recently. I bought the Egypt '71 box set. It's like this huge, like 4 or 5 LP box set.
Yeah,
and some of it, you really have to prep yourself to listen to that kind of music. It's kind of going. It's the musical equivalent of going for a medical examination. Really, it's you're just going. I'm going to put this record on, but I need to, there's, almost you're confronting you're confronted with the music, rather than trying to enjoy something, and that's again a personal opinion. I'm not here to offend anyone's sensibility here, but yeah.
that's an example of one I probably haven't played all the way through. I have that box as well. I don't think I've listened to all of it. The Egypt.
The first disc it's yeah, it's like going to the dentist. That's that.
Yeah, I think a lot of his sort of smaller ensemble stuff, even some of the solo piano stuff is really amazing. And I know Stonty was talking about Night of the Purple Moon recently as well, and I know Chris was talking about that is his favorite as well. Totally different vibe, it's much more personal and timeless in a way.
Yeah, I have a friend here that I think Alex and Dom might know him from Instagram, Harp Station. My friend Rob, he collects original Sun Ra's, and that he's That's the most I've ever seen in one location. And he has about, I think he's about 50, 60 of them. And when I was at his house, he was showing me that. And, I mean, he goes to great lengths, obviously, to get those. But my friend Brian, who I referred to his shop earlier, he just had an original of Languidity on his wall. It's like, oh, that's nice. Don't see that very often. So I didn't ask how much it was, but and Alex mentioned I like the Sun Ra that's more like groove oriented Sun Ra. Even though I've seen him live, and seeing him live is amazing. I know Michael Valentini's probably seen him a bunch of times, but I like Night of the Purple Moon. The one Dom showed, I think, My Brother the Wind.
Yeah.
I like when he does I like the synth Sun Ra when he's just going this across the keyboards.
It's fascinating too because you have John Gilmore playing drums on it, which is fun to hear.
You talk about an underrated musician, man, John Gilmore.
Oh, sure.
I love the early, for me, like where I get most rewarded sonically is the very early Sun Ra. Like, as I said, Supersonic Jazz, these kinds of like early records where you can still see the bones of jazz being played. But yeah, I mean, yeah, the art is fantastic, and in some ways, very blasphemously, I will say that for me, I'd probably just be happy with the book, with the the book that they put out with all the covers. Have you seen it? The Sun Ra book.
Yeah, my friend did that. Who's one of the biggest Sun Ra collectors. Yeah, it's Art on Ra. I have it over there. It's really cool.
I'd probably be just as happy with that and the Sun Ra that I've already got. To me, that's that'd be enough. But and again, it's just that. There's also the fact that like this, as we touched on before, there's only so much music you can listen to in one day, and when it comes down to it, what are you going to choose? Are you really going to choose to play a super duper experimental Sun Ra record when you come home from work, or I don't know, even the Pharaoh Sanders? Let's just say, like. What are you going to like? The time is finite, and I think it depends. It all down to preference.
Yeah, is that you, Dom, with the cicadas?
I don't know. How am I sounding right now?
Oh, it sounds like we had cicadas. Yeah, indeed. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not the time of year, right? Or do you even have those, Dom, out east?
We do. Yeah, in the summer we have them.
Yeah.
It's fading. That Pharaoh Sanders you showed, I'm still looking for that one.
That's one down.
No, this I'm looking for too. I'm looking for that Pharaoh that you just showed too. I missed it last time. It was at Angry Mom.
I was just talking to somebody about that Abdul Sami record in the shop.
Looking for both of those.
Yeah,
but that's okay. These days, I'm fine to let most things go. I'm trying to. I'm not really traveling right now, so I'm not only seeing what's at one store. So I'm hoping to find things in person more, but I'm only going to one store because I'm not going anywhere. So.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's all down to preference. I mean, and I'm sure, I'm just expressing my own personal opinion. I'm not trying to force anyone to actually believe what I'm saying. But the thing is, yeah, it's such the appeal of the collecting sometimes. Well, a lot of the time surpasses the musical value. I think like having the full set, having the collection, to be able to say, it is somehow more, more valuable than the music itself at times. I mean, it's, and I think I've thought about this quite a lot in terms of collecting. You just go, why do you want this for? Do you want this for because you want the music, or do you want this for because you think it's collective? You think it's going to be an asset to your collection. Like this kind of balance of music versus object, basically. Sure. Thoughts? Anyone?
Well, if it's not getting played, I mean, it sort of defeats the purpose. There's times where I've brought things home that I'm really into the idea of it, but that I don't actually find the time to play it until many moons later. I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes there's just that sort of inner feeling of like this is going to be something I'm going to really want or I'm going to really enjoy, but you don't necessarily find the time for it. I don't know. Depends on mood, like listening moods too. Like a lot of extreme music that I have, I don't play as much. I end up playing that stuff on the radio more than at home, which is sort of fun uh, for whatever reason. Maybe that's my time. That's my time to shine. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, there's certainly some of that. And I think over the last 5 years or so, I've gotten more into collecting specific labels. And I know, we've talked a lot about some of them. And I know, Chris is a big fan of like CRI and some of the, classical music and avant-garde labels, a lot of which are still very cheap. And so, sometimes I'll buy stuff like that just to see what it's like, because a lot of times, there's not even any, available sound clips and things like that. And yeah, I mean, I can see some of those records, they're not going to be things that I'm going to be reaching for all the time, but I like to have them for now, and just to, because a lot of them are composers and things that I don't know much about now, but as I continue down some of these wormholes, I know that there's going to be additional connections. And, in a couple of years, I'll probably say, hey, there's a player on here that I'm really interested in now. And,
that's exactly what we discussed before. Like you're buying records now to play them later. Yeah. We've had this conversation before.
Sure.
I find myself going down, like, I think Alex does this too a lot. I go down wormholes. Like, I'll just find something on Discogs. Like, I've talked about it before. Like, I'll be like I'm like looking for prepared piano stuff or something. I'll just go down these. That's how I find out about these records that I show that are obscure, is this like just constantly like looking for connections. Like, I'll find a label. Oh, I like this record and this player's on this, kind of like what Alex alluded to. And then I'll click on that guy and find another record, and it just keeps going. And it's like, I never run out of things to discover, really, and that's kind of interesting. But I like playing records. Like in one of my recent videos, I played a percussion record I hadn't played in like 10 years. And I forgot it even had like flutes on it. I was like, oh, interesting. But I thought it was great. I mean, I think a lot of records I neglect that are great, because I get caught up in that kind of like, oh, I just got this. And then I'll be, forget about things I've had forever. And when I play them again, it's like hearing them for the first time again, and
Yeah.
that's what I love about those CRI records, because I think probably Alex could attest to that. It's like you could play that, and then a year later, you're not going to really, they're not like records necessarily like a fusion record. I can hum the melodies. I know the riffs and everything, so they're in my head. But like a world music or a classical record, if I play it one day and I play it 6 months from now, it's like almost a completely new experience for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of renewing itself. That's my experience, at least.
See, Fred.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, it's all. Yeah, I mean, and we all collect things for different purposes. I mean, and we get different. As long as you get joy from it, I think it's where it's where it's at. The moment it makes you, it brings you down. It's becomes a bit of a problem, really. But if you get joy from finding out about a new artist that you never heard before, or rediscovering a record, and for me, it's mostly about rediscovering things that I forgot. What Chris said before, just just it's just a great way of going. Oh yeah, that track. I never, well, I've never heard that, or
Yeah, I think the VC's great like that. Like you guys are great like that because Alex or Stunty, all those people might show something like, oh, I forgot I had that. And then I'll go pull it out and I'll be like, oh, that's cool. I like that. And yeah, I mean, we play things like Dom could attest to this maybe too. Like sometimes at the shop, you'll play things. I'll play things. If I pick something, I'm expecting people to be like, I'll be pleasantly surprised when it's something like pretty heavy or avant-garde. They're like, oh, that sounds pretty cool. What is this? And then they're like, oh, I never really, it's really cool. I know Dom told me a story about playing the second Gravity Juster's expansion band at Angry Mom, and it was kind of an interesting reaction. But
Yeah, it sort of stopped everyone in their tracks. I think they liked it, but I think they were more just surprised that I put that on, which was interesting. It's not a good store record, but it was like a quiet. This is back when I was there more. It was like a quiet Tuesday, and it was sort of like nothing was going on, and there's just like subtle plinking and tinkering going on. And after about 15 minutes, everyone was just like, "Wait, what the hell did you put on?" Yeah, that's an interesting one. But this
what have you been
when
spending, Alex? Hey, Alex, what have you been? Have you been spending anything recently?
Yeah,
show
you all my floor records, but so I've been getting into the. Do you know much about the Anima label out of New York?
A little bit. I did a little bit from the new music distribution guides.
Yeah, so I've been trying to find out more about the label. So it's out of New York. Late '70s, early '80s. I think that there's a couple guys that were sort of the founders of it, including John Mingione, which I don't know if you know much about him. Chris, I guess, he's a musician as well, but so he produced all of these records on the Anima label. If you've never seen that label, it's this. They only put out about a dozen records, and I think they're almost all, in my opinion, really, really good. Some of them are getting a little bit, more expensive. Like this is like the last one that I finally got, and this is probably one of the harder ones to find, and probably one of the, sort of more out there ones. Sort of certainly in the vein of, like Ascension's Coltrane's Ascension, because it's a very large. That's all the musicians on there. So you got people like William Parker and Dave Wortman on bass. You got Paul Chambers on Fender bass. Keith Dunbar on the French horn. John Mingione, I guess the founder of the label, on flugelhorn here. Bunch of players I haven't even heard of, but yeah, New York. And this one is actually, the whole thing is sort of directed by this guy Earl Freeman, who I'm also trying to figure out kind of what his story is, and I guess there's somebody online that actually did a bunch of research on him, and I need to dig into kind of what his whole story is. But he was like a bass player, American. He's done a bunch of those BYG XUL sessions, but sort of a kind of a not much to his name beyond that, and so I'm trying to find out what his whole deal was. And there's some information about that particular session, which is again like a large group improvised thing. And then the other guy,
yeah, I know that record,
who I think was also somehow involved with the label, and I'm trying to clarify that. But Billy Bang, who was one of the great free improv violin players. But yeah, there's a ton of great titles on that label, so I've been kind of digging in on that. And then another kind of one of my favorite ones on the label is this one, Untitled Gift, with Don Cherry and Dennis Charles and Billy Bang. Yeah, it's a really good one.
Interesting.
So, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that hopefully, sees, reissues, one day, but who knows? Who knows if it'll ever happen?
Yeah, it's certainly pretty outside. Oh, there was a Paul Chambers. Was that Joe? Was Paul Chambers or Joe Chambers on that record? It was Paul.
On the one I showed?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you can take your pick.
Yeah. Both great.
Do you know what? I went into my probably like a week ago. I went to my jazz section there, and I was just taking records out that I hadn't played for a while, and they're next to each other, so I took them both out, and they're in my box here. I didn't produce them magically, like Jose does, but there we go. Big fave in the VC, this record, I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I still have my copy of that.
What? What'd you say?
Oh, I said I still have my copy of that. I've thought about selling it, but I love Joe Chambers too much. So,
Alex, I think those cicadas are yours.
I think Muse is a label that, people always bang on about Blue Note and whatnot, but Muse is consistently good as a label. Yeah, don't you think?
Yeah. I don't have
those are
on the label. I don't really see them here all that often. So
yeah, some of my favorite jazz records of all time, like Buster Williams' Pinnacle, it's on Muse. I love that.
Oh
record.
yeah, that's a great record. Yeah, absolutely. Hard to find these days.
Do you have Fred? Do you have the Dom Salvatore on Muse? That's so good. Mi Familia, Brazilian jazz record. Just
don't think I have a Dom Salvador, but not that one. No, I don't think so. Maybe I do. I don't know. I can't remember. I do have a couple of these records. I'll just check on my shelf. I can't
there we
remember.
go.
Hey Dom, here's a South American heater.
Let's see.
One of the greatest fusion records ever, in my opinion. Arco Iris.
Okay.
A lot of their early records are more proggy. This is just balls to the wall jazz rock fusion. Great record.
Insane.
An original Los Elementals. Yeah, it's pretty heavy duty. A friend of mine sourced these from I think Argentina. I think that's where they're from. Yeah,
Okay.
he sourced a few for us, and yeah, pretty cool. You should check. I mean, you might like it, maybe. I mean, it's just heavy duty fusion.
I got my DOMs. I've got my DOMs mixed up. I was thinking of Dom Orumau, which is also a Muse. I was thinking of those records.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't keep those.
But this is a great record. Spirit of the Times. That's a great record, and I'm going to leave it at thanks to you and play it because I haven't played it forever. So I don't know. Sometimes it's like you forget you got things. But Dom Salvador, I think I've got on CD, not on record. Anyway, yeah, Muse, great label. What's the subsidiary of Muse again? The label that's affiliated to Muse. That's
I think it was original. I think Cobblestone became Muse.
Cobblestone. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, also good, also very good. Yeah. On Muse and Cobblestone, you've got these Richard Davis records as well, which are all very good. The Philosophy of the Spiritual. Yeah. The one that you rebought. Yeah, I remember. Very good record. You can sell it. Somebody.
Well, no, actually, it wasn't. It was a reissue of a different cover. I didn't have it yet, so it was okay. But it was on Muse, but I think it was on a different label. But first, it was the Richard Davis though. It was a different title, different cover, same album.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be worth doing a video just on Muse. So many good records. But
there's that Cobblestone record that I just can't think of it off the top of my head, but it used to be $15 album, and I remember getting it and being so surprised at how cheap it was. The Norman Connors Dance of Magic.
Yeah, I have the cobblestone of that one.
Yeah,
Yeah, very good.
what a great record. What a great sort of personnel in that. And I don't know if it's still a $15 album, but certainly worth seeking that one out if anyone has it. I'll have to find it. I'll see if I can find it real quick.
Yeah, the Catalyst records on Muse go for pretty good money. I have a couple of those. Pat Martino did some great records on Muse. There's actually some. I think Alex likes the. You probably like Alex. The what is it? The CC. You know what I'm talking about? I think it's with crap. The Human Arts Ensemble guys. I think CCMC or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more of a little more avant-garde. Because there is some avant-garde stuff on that label. I mean, it's not all like fusion or straight ahead. Yeah, there's the Norman Connors.
Yeah, for anyone out in the chat, this is certainly worth finding. Who do we have? I know there's Herbie Hancock, Carlos Garnett, Gary Bartz, Eddie Henderson, Cecil McBee, Stanley Clark. It's a big ensemble. Alphonse Mouzon is on here. Billy Hart. I mean, Air 2. There's the Cobblestone. Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah, I might copy from high school.
Norman Cummins. Which one did you show? You showed was it one? No. You showed this one. Yeah. This is really a really nice record too. Love from the Sun. This with
Okay, yep.
I mean, you know,
similar grouping right there.
But talking about Cobblestone, I mean, we were obviously talking about this one. That's
it. Yep.
Yeah, it's a fantastic record, you know, and which at the time I paid almost nothing for. But another one which I like, I don't know, maybe it's just it's an okay record. It's very, you know, you can find it quite easily. This record here on Cobblestone. Neil Craig, Contrast,
the funky one.
Yeah, just a sort of funky jazz record. Exactly. Yeah. It's nice record overall. Lots of like a whole bunch of interesting instruments from piano to clavinet to you know, everything in between. Very cool record. 72. There you go.
Muse, yeah. I don't have too much Muse. I mean, I have a couple things. I mean, Chris, you probably could show a bunch of great Muse records.
Yeah, I have the one that I have that I have to find them.
You have the Catalyst?
Yeah, I have a few of those.
Tough to get now.
Yeah, I got like I don't have a lot. I don't have as many as I used to because I sold a lot. But I got Pinnacle by yeah.
Such a good record. Yeah.
This is the one Fred would love. Dom Salvador, My Family.
No, I don't have that. Definitely don't have that.
Pat Martino live.
Very cool, yeah.
Yeah, Pat Martino Consciousness. I love Pat Martino. This is a good European fusion record, Free Fall. I think these guys were Dutch. Joe Chambers, of course. Tear to Smile. You know what's funny about this copy? Dusty Groove years ago were selling sealed copies of these for like $8, and I only bought one. But that's their last record. That's their first record. This is the '80s repressed. And then I have some. I have this. I've had these since high school, actually. These Norman Connors. Soul Village. When Bishop did, these are really good, real funky. Cubicle, which is Walter Fitzsinger, one of my all-time favorite records, period. Peruvian Blue by Kenny Barron. I love this record. Just for the track. Even there's one of the greatest Monk covers of all time is on this. It's a duet cover called a duet version of Blue Monk with Ted Dunbar on guitar and Kenny on piano. That's just mind-blowingly good. Kenny Barron Lucifer. He plays a lot of synth on this. Carlos Alomar from Bowie is on this. And just a nice Walt Barr is a nice guitar fusion record. Not his big one that has a sample on it that goes for like $300. This is better than that record. So, but yeah, that's all I got.
That's a good run of Muse titles.
Yeah, I love that. That's all I've got. Kind of casual.
Well, these were records that are super common around here. Back when I was like going to shops in the 90s, they were like a couple of $2, like the Pablo. I mean, you just saw them all the time, and but
yeah, I did see that when I remember looking this up and saw that. That's all. LOL.
Oh, speaking of the Pharoah Sanders, I told my friend about this record because he was, he's like, I love that Pharoah on Indian Navigation. I'm like, do you have this? Mm-hmm. Munoz, I love this record. Munoz, Rendezvous with Now. He's a guitar player on the Pharoah record.
Oh, good call. Yeah, right.
Yeah, Cecil McBee on bass, Bernie Sineski, two great Canadian guys, Sineski on piano, Claude Ranger on drums.
What year is that one from, Chris?
Underrated.
Quite like Sineski. He's a great pianist. I've got his album on PM. Very good.
What year is that one from, Chris?
78. It was recorded around the same time as the Pharoah.
Right.
Do you have this one? You know this record, guys?
I've seen that.
Shepherds.
I've seen that.
The first side, the Shepherd's Chant. It has some of the same feel as that Pharoah, but obviously no horns. It's more guitar. But who he sounds like actually? Sonny Greenwich, another Canadian great guitarist, sort of that kind of transcendent, kind of almost like Coltrane on guitar sound.
Interesting.
Yeah. That's still a pretty cheap record.
I'll have to check that one out. Yeah, that one definitely appeals to me because I do love his contribution on that on the Pharoah.
Yeah, that's why I thought about it.
Let's see. I'll figure it out. Well,
that's what's funny because my friend, he got the box set of that Pharoah, and it's beautiful. And I told him a story I found. I think I was at a local show. This was years ago. A guy had that for like $10, and I was like, he's like, you know what that is? And I'm like, I'll take it for $10. And I ended up keeping it for a while because it is a beautiful record, but I couldn't resist when it started to climb to I had to let it move on. I mean, it was just too crazy.
I mean, it's not that rare, really, right? I mean, they pressed a decent amount. Their copies are out there. It's just they're being held on to, I guess.
It's like a lot of those, like some of the Indian Navigation and like the Chiaroscuro stuff, like those Tarika Blue records, go for crazy money. And that's another interesting label, Chiaroscuro.
Yes.
Yes.
So Munoz, the Rendezvous, that's a good call. I mean, I'll have to look into that. That's
yeah. No, you might like that. You probably like that.
Yeah. That's an Indian Navigation.
Yeah, that James Mason record he's always going for crazy money. Talking about Chiaroscuro.
Yeah.
Very Tarika Blue, decent enough band. I mean, it's not like stuff that will blow your mind every time, but there's some good grooves on there.
Rao Kawasaki's on there, and
yeah. good little records. Yeah, yeah. I think they're probably more hyped than what they're, again, blasphemous, but what the musical value equates to. Like it's a lot of, you know, yeah, they're very high, especially in sort of diggers circles. There's Tavika Blue. They're like, you know, there's. I've always known about these being kind of like growls, quote unquote. But, I've got the Tavika Blue record, and that rarely play. Like I would rarely play it. It's kind of once in a while kind of record, you know.
I think like Indian navigation, what we're talking about, that's worthy of a video like on that label, because there's a lot of great. I know Alex has a lot of those Indian navigations. There's some amazing stuff on that label, and I don't think I've ever heard an Indian navigation that wasn't less than interesting at the very least.
Yep.
And yeah.
I only got a few. Oh yeah, I pulled out the Air record, Air song to play in my show the other day. I didn't get to it, but those are some good ones there. I'm not sure how many they had on the label. I think it was it only the one. You guys know that record, Air, the Air song?
Yeah.
With
I think they had those records later on. You know the Japanese Air record, Dom?
Just by reputation, I don't know it though.
Yeah, I have that one. That's like one of the ultimate Electric Miles surrogate records. It's amazing. Listen, if you're into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
There it is.
If you like that stuff. Yeah.
My friend,
ultimate electric.
Okay, well, this is a roundabout story. My friend Amos, who is in the chat there, he discovered this record thanks to Chris Cole, like years ago. You talked about this record. Now, my friend Amos there, he's obsessed with Japanese jazz, and I think his obsession started with this record. And so, he's got this Insta where he just posts Japanese jazz records. Anyway, he told me the story, and he found an original of this. So he gave me his copy that he bought like 10 years ago, which was inspired by you, Chris. So this is a 360-degree story.
Yeah, that's cool.
He's in the chat, so he can confirm that.
I love that.
So,
it's the favorite.
I got this a freebie probably like 3 months ago or something, but it's a great record. It's beautiful because we give each other records all the time, and he just goes, "Oh yeah, have this." It's the vinyl production kind of type of thing, but it's a great record. So thank you, Chris.
It's a favorite. It's an old favorite of mine.
Yeah, it's a nice little story that like records that Chris Cole inspired us to buy over time. You're a great guru.
Can't disagree with that.
Hey Chris, speaking of Indian navigation, do you have that? There's like a Vibes record on there by Jay Hoggard or something.
I flirted with buying
I've
that
had a
myself.
few of his records, but I don't have them anymore. The one, is it the brown covered one?
Yeah, do you have that one?
I had it. I think I ended up selling it eventually, but it was good.
It was good.
Is it one you're looking for? Because I see it around here.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'll make a mental note of that. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. Wish I would have known you needed that. I would have probably just given it to you.
I've seen that here too, actually. Yep.
Yeah.
I like James Newton records. That's the other couple that I like on there, on that label. There's a few.
I'm trying to find Dom a copy of this, like a nice one. I'm trying to tap my sources to get the.
Well,
I can't part with mine, unfortunately, but
it's appreciated. It's not a rush or anything. I mean, I do have a copy of the reissue, but it's monumental to me. It's a. Do you know this record, Fred? The Roland P. Young.
The Raw and Pyongyang, which one? The Easted, is that the Easted Serenade or the? No, no, I don't. I definitely no. I've got the Easted Serenade. You know the other one.
Yeah, isophonic boogie woogie. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's I mean, it's good overall, but there's like at least one track that's insane on it. I know Alex has a copy of it. Pretty sure mine doesn't have the poster. Just kind of a bummer, but can't complain about it. Because
that was one of the big finds of
that one. Yeah,
that's pretty good.
This record is beautiful. I think. Serenade. There we go.
I don't think I've heard that one. I think I missed
that
one.
It's killer record. Really, really, really. From I don't know. This is a version from 2009. Isn't archival I don't even know. I don't know when this was actually issued for the first time. Maybe it was issued for the first time in 2009, but I really like this one. Yeah.
Yeah, all those records on the Japanese M label, I think those came out at the shortly after they were made. I think,
yeah, that's a big label for me. Reissued label. I don't think
But,
they're still doing stuff.
I haven't played. Thank you for reminding me. I haven't played this for a long, long time, and it's a beautiful record actually. Isophonic Boogie Woogie, I've seen many times. Like I've seen at least a reissue many times in front of me, but I've never I've listened to a section or two of it, and it wasn't doing anything for me personally. But I mean, you can't have everything either. I mean, it's ridiculous. you just can't have everything, and not even when your favorite people show that records is a signal for you to actually buy that record. You have to actually like it as well.
The closest you're going to get to everybody a person who has everything is Stumpy. That's like the closest person I know.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
And you know what? Having everything, he's got like 15,000 records.
Yeah.
That's not everything. That's far from everything.
I know. That's the closest I can think of.
That exists in the world, I mean, some collectors have got 100,000 records. Have they got everything? Not even close, So, but it's not about having everything. It's about having the things that you want to have. I mean, that's comes down to this. It's like you, Chris. You've got a very lean collection, for what I can gather. You've got
it's not as big as people assume.
No, but it doesn't need to be.
No, it's pretty. I keep it that way. Yeah, I try to keep it.
I mean, why do you need 15,000 records if you're getting joy out of like 3 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5,000?
No, that's true.
I will say, if anyone doesn't have I think the reissues readily available. If anyone doesn't have this record in the chat, I highly recommend. I mean, it's hard to call this a jazz record. I think it's. I mean, look, this cover gives you a good idea of what's happening. It's a solo record, basically, isn't it? I mean, he's experimenting. He's playing with effects, Echoplex and things like that. I think anyway. But he does have some things like he does have some voice parts, kalimba, but it's a lot of bass clarinet, basically. So. This is, of course, the M copy.
You have this record, Alex?
Yeah, I finally found a copy. In fact, I think Fred is gone now, but Fred Putterman.
David. Yeah.
He had found a copy.
Okay.
Maybe he was at End of an Year in Austin. Probably that's probably where he found it.
Yeah, no, I always think of you when I play this record because it seemed like something you would be into. Like anything rainbow or cellos or anything.
On my want list for a few years, I finally
okay, cool.
Found a copy maybe about 4 months ago.
Yeah, I like the modified horn stuff when they kind of extend it.
Yeah, and then he played with was it Nightblock, I think?
Yeah, yep, you're right.
Yeah. No, yeah, he's in fact, he plays on one of his Indian navigation records, I think.
Yeah. No, I just always that's a record of me makes me think of you but I'm cool if you have it, so I don't have to hunt for one.
Yeah, it's a great cover too on that.
Yeah. I think that record's from out Dom's way, like near Connecticut. Like I mean on the East Coast, but
Which one was it again?
Joseph. There it is. You'd like it, Dom. It's kind of drony. I don't know if you can see it. Joseph. Let's see if I can get it.
Okay.
Organic.
Yeah, I've not seen that one. No.
Cool.
Yeah. I think Fred would probably like it too, as well.
Sure. Yeah. That's be up my definitely up my alley. Yeah. I mean, I think some of these classical instruments are very underrated, like the oboe or the clarinet. These kind of like very mournful sounding kind of tones, like I think they're underused in music overall in general.
Yeah, and like the bass clarinet, that's definitely one of those instruments that seems to be making a little bit of a comeback, at least in some of the newer jazz artists. But I think historically it's like a very, very difficult instrument to play. So
What's that? Is that the same instrument? Because I've seen like this giant, like literally humongous instrument that's I think a bass clarinet, but are we talking about the same kind of? You know what I'm talking about? Like in some orchestras you've got this enormous kind of contraption.
The bass clarinet is big, but I mean you can see Dolphy famously played it. And it is very long.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is. I think there's somebody may can say in the comments here, but there's like a contrabass clarinet or
that's what I'm trying to think of. Yeah, exactly. It's a contrabass clarinet. Yeah.
I think Braxton probably. Well, he played everything, but I'm sure he delved into that one as well. But yeah, some of those are massive.
If you've seen one, it's just like, how do you even transport it is the question. This question I have, but obviously, because when you see people carrying, for example, like a double bass, it's an enormous instrument to carry around. Like, how big is a double bass? Like but yeah, it makes it sound unlike any other. I mean, you can't replace a double bass with a bass. Really, it's not really the same thing
at
all.
With a harp, and I always wonder about with harp, the transporting.
Yeah, it's but no, I mean, this discussion is great. I mean, so always talking about harp and double bass. I always love, on Sunday I always play classical music. And this is very simple stuff, but piano and cello. I mean, to me, it is really the quintessence of of music at large. These two instruments. You get so much expression and feeling and touch out of these two instruments when they're played played together like that or in a quintet, for example. I'm really yesterday we played this with my friend Amos because he wanted to hear the a free jazz record with bagpipes. It's quite the ride. This record from France from 1980 or whatever, 1979. Yeah. Record.
That looks interesting, that record.
Yeah, it's it's not something I would pull out every day. That's for sure. it's you got to be prepared to listen to that. Here's a record that I pulled out, which it's a reissue. You all know this, obviously, with the great Abdul Wadud on On cello, we talk about cello again. I mean, that's again an amazing practitioner of the instrument.
Love it.
Very, very different to a classical musician, obviously, but very vital kind of way of attacking his instrument. It's a right and a half. I don't have his solo record. I would love to have his solo record, but no copies have appeared here in Australia. Because they reissued it last year, I think.
Yeah.
And I've almost ordered one from Dusty Groove, but I just went, oh, no, I don't know. But what do you think? What do you guys think of the Abdul Wadud solo record?
Well, I'll keep an eye out for it. We do get it back in stock here, and I'll certainly grab it for you. I got something else to send you at some point anyway, Fred. So
yeah, I played, I think, the entire thing maybe last year on a stream. So yeah, definitely I'm a fan, and and that it's the same company that did the reissue of Abdul Wadud as the one that you just showed.
Ohio.
Got a Groove Records out of Ohio. So
yeah, this one was available here, but the solo one I've never seen appear in front of me, like in a completely different style. Here's a record that I bought for $2 in the thrift store last week, and I enjoyed the shit out of it. is the opposite of obscure music. It's the most run-of-the-mill Tchaikovsky Concerto No. 1, Chicago. Hey, Chris. But beautiful music all the same. Like which goes to show that you don't have to spend hundreds of dollars to find great music if you know what you're looking for. I mean, I love classical music. Next Saturday, I'm with my friend Amos, who is in the chat. We're going to a classical record sale. So there's a radio station called 3MBS in Melbourne, and they're a classical radio. And every so often they sell their back catalog for $2 a piece, and you get box sets of Shostakovich and Schubert and whatnot for like $2, and like great big box sets of classical. So we're going on Saturday, and we're going to see what we can find there. But I think it's a shame that people underestimate classical so much, and they dismiss it, because there's so much beautiful stuff, and even experimental stuff and avant-garde stuff and out there stuff that people could get into for so little money, like almost next to nothing, and continue to want the same 3 pressings of Led Zeppelin. That's sad.
Chris, remember that there was that eBay sale for that lot of classical records a couple months ago?
Yeah.
I jumped on it. I offered the guy basically like about $4 per record. I forget how many there were, maybe 10 to 15 in the lot or whatever. So he accepted right away. But stuff like this, which I haven't even had a chance to play most of these yet. But so Janos Starker on cello.
Well, you can't go wrong with that to start with.
So this is going to be quite good, I'm sure.
The orchestra is pretty well known.
The composer I'm not really familiar with. Dorati from 1906 and Grigory Ranki. So these are Hungarian composers. Pretty interesting stuff.
That was a nice lot for what you.
This one, Texan contemporary composers, looks really interesting. I haven't had a chance to play it either, but yeah, it comes with this really nice, booklet. And what else was in there? So like half of these at least were sealed.
Yeah, you can't go wrong.
I
think that's decent. I think I have that one. I had several in that lot. That's why I recommend.
Yeah, I only had maybe a couple of them, and I think I just had different versions of some of those. And this one I was looking for. This Sinakis.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So yeah, that was a really nice.
Lovely.
Yeah, and like.
Yeah, that one is super unknown, man. That's so good. It's got a great tape piece, solo harp piece. I have a copy of that for Stunty that I'm gonna send him. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I think you'll like that one.
Yeah, so thanks, Chris, for the heads up there. It's kind of stuff that still very cheap and really worthwhile.
I was just saying. Carry on. Sorry, Chris. You go a record there.
Well, I said that's why I like when Fred shows the classical. It's great because it's at our shop. I mean, anybody, if you have any remote interest in classical music at all, you can walk into our shop and you can walk out literally with a box of classical for like $30-$40.
That's right.
Just go to town.
Yeah, I was going to say, to illustrate this point, I pulled that little section of my classical section, but these records are no more than like $2, $3, $4, $5 each. I mean, Turangalada Symphony. I mean, this magical Quatuor for the End of Time, which is brilliant. It's all my Messiaen record.
Yeah.
You look at these; they sound great. I
any SCA to me is worthwhile.
Like, these are really all super cheap records. I mean, they're not. This was €1 in France.
Yeah, I'd like to get that.
Such a fantastic record. This was no more than it's a whole box, and even what you get for your money, when you buy classical, is amazing. I mean, like, you get these boxes with like notes and this is 6 LPs of Messiaen playing organ. Like he just playing organ. 1926 to 1951 at the Church of Trinity in Paris. So, like, when you see what you can get, value for money. Anyway,
right.
That was just to illustrate that. That was just to illustrate that point. I mean, nothing more. Not. But this is just one composer. It could be. You could. If I pulled out my Bartok section, they're all. They're like $2 records, but they're fantastic. You can just get into. Some really, really forward-thinking music for nothing. That's why every time I show the classical records, it's with that mindset going, you know what, people, you could, these records are widely available. You don't need to spend that much money on those. That's pretty much what I would say. But
yeah, it's like something like this. This is beautiful, and this is not an expensive record. Kalinda, you know Kalinda, Fred?
No, I don't know.
It's come out in France, but it's a Hungarian folk.
Yeah.
Group. Yeah, this is beautiful stuff. All the records came out in France. I think they recorded in France, but this is wonderful. These are like $10 records.
Yeah,
just beautiful Eastern European folk music, progressive, with other French influences as well. I love their records. Just beautiful.
Was it called Kalinda? What's the year on it? Kalinda
1976. It's their first record from 1976.
But there's another number under the Kalinda
1514.
1514. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I know Stunty and I know Alex too. And even Dom a little bit too. And I think you do too. You guys all like a little bit of Eastern European folk music, depending what it is. Yeah. That's a really nice one. They have 3 records. They're all really beautiful. Recorded in France, but Hungarian.
Check them out.
Yeah, I had one of those on my the second one on my want list. Not sure if it's something you had shown a while back, or see, I don't even recognize that label, Hexagon.
But these are very, very, very interesting, very enlightening discussions that we're having. I think lots of really interesting, beautiful records showed. That's what I like about live streams that I either watch or take part in, is just that kind of like dynamic
Things come
conversation.
up as you're talking, yeah.
You know, rather than just like fucking drama. You know, like people just insulting each other in the chat or whatever. Like everyone is so civil here. It's great. It's really
plenty of drama in real life. I'm gonna wrap
Oh
it
yeah,
3 hours.
there is. Yeah, but I mean, you know what I mean. Like there's so much like shitty nonsense on the VC that we don't need to get involved with. And this is fabulous. Thank you for hosting. It's really
there's only so much time in the day for like quality things. Why would you want to spend time on drama you don't need? But yeah, Chris, did you have anything else you wanted to show there? Or else I'm gonna say at 3 hours.
Yeah, I'll show my record store day picks. Like I told you, I always get something. Fred will like, why? You guys already know these, but I got this double album on Tomato, John Cage. It's all prepared piano stuff.
Yeah,
it's Sonnets and Interludes, probably his most well-known piece, arguably. Tomato, 2 LP sets. Yeah, I got that. And then I'm really looking forward to this. This is a really interesting record. You can see it. Oh.
Louis Andreessen.
Yeah. And the title is called It Meets Time. It's this sort of like a kind of a very interesting sort of, there's more to it, but it's kind of a minimalist thing. And it's on the Composer's Voice label. It's interesting, sort of ambient kind of too as well. But the instrumentation is 6 flutes, 2 alto flutes, 3 bass clarinets, and a double bass clarinet, 6 trumpets, 2 pianos, 2 harps, 2 bass guitars, 8 percussionists, women's voices, Hammond organ, and strings from 1981.
It was cheap too. From my
yeah,
here.
Both of these were like $10. But I actually was looking for this, so I was like, I knew it was there. Like I told Alex, we have a classical record show here, like it is coming up, and Steve was able to get like a little grip of like experimental 20th century stuff. I had most of it, but like these were 2 that were in there. And like I couldn't find anything to pick up on Record Store Day, so I was like, "Hey, can I buy those?" And he's like, "Yeah, go ahead." So, because and then there's a couple things that Alex knows about. One of them that if Steve doesn't like it, I'm going to try to get for Alex some interesting CRI stuff.
Oh right,
yeah, that's usually typical Chris Cole Record Store Day stuff. You know. I don't know if there's no colored vinyl. I don't think these were.
No.
But yeah, but that's that.
Well, thanks everybody.
This is why I picked up for Record Store Day.
Looks great. Record.
Yeah, I was.
Well,
actually,
cheers,
you know what? I didn't pick up anything for Record Store Day, but I got given a record during Record Store Day, so it's got to count for something. So I'll show you a record that I got given for Record Store Day by my friend Amos. Yesterday, he gave me this record.
Oh, that's a good record.
Nice.
Well, the hype sticker says everything that you need to. Very John Hassel-esque. Very, very
covers everything.
So he
nice.
He just gave it to me. So that's my record store day record, which I didn't buy. It was,
I got
I
one.
was given. There you go. So in the end,
Well, cheers, guys. Appreciate you joining me. Thanks, everybody out there in the chat. We'll be talking some more, I'm sure.
Thank you,
All
Dom.
right, gentlemen.
Yeah, thank you, Dom.
See
Take
you.
care, everybody.
thank you, Alex. Thank you, Chris.
Happy
Bye,
RSD.
Chris.
Cheers.
Fred.
See ya.